In the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
Well, hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today?
I'm salty this morning.
Ooh.
Salty.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
I have a comment on the intro, man.
Sure.
Yeah, the guy in the red pants, I feel for his knees. I know he's still limping to this day.
He's
And
fine.
it's making my knees ache.
He's fine.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's Rerun, man.
I haven't heard anything about Rerun in years.
He made his money. I
Yeah,
like Rerun, man.
yeah. I'm sure he spent a part of it on knee surgery.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
You know, he's got enough money to buy new ones.
Yeah,
Pardon me, man.
hey, no worries.
I love how my voice just right at showtime. It'll be fine all morning, and we're live. What a crowd.
Hey, some chicks find that sexy.
Right?
So there's that.
Yeah, let's I don't know which ones, but
Yeah, that's the secret. Find them.
yeah. Hey. Yeah. And that's when you meet a lady that sounds like that. Now, that's fun.
Ooh, yeah.
How you doing, handsome? What?
Yeah. Yeah, what's up? And they go,
That's crazy.
"What's up?"
What?
Like, ugh.
bow-legged, nice lady that's on the corner named Itchy.
Yeah,
Itchy.
exactly.
I like Itchy.
Oh,
Itchy's a
dude,
nice
I
gal.
remember
Handsome woman.
the lady of the night that had one eye. She used to hang at this bar called the Yacht Club, and this is like only old guys who own boats. So this is like a very old professional.
Did you say the Yacht Club?
The Yacht Club, yeah. Down in Panama. So only
Very
people who own
old
yachts can
professional.
go there. Yeah, this is a very old professional dude. So, but she's hanging at the bar. She's missing one eye. You can see the years, but she's trying, man. She's struggling. She's selling it out, and she has gotten some boats. I've seen it. So never give up.
Never give up. It'll work out for you, I promise.
Yes.
Randy, you're salty today, man.
Man, buddy.
How you doing? Oh,
Little
well,
grumpy. It's all right though. I'll get it.
you want to talk about it?
Well, just woke up this morning to a wonderful Facebook announcement that somebody that I knew and really liked, that a kind of a convention acquaintance, a dealer friend of, can't really call him a friend as much as just a fellow dealer and a guy who's always at the shows
Colleague.
and always smiling and always happy and always up, and ended up passing from cancer this morning.
Oh,
It's
dude.
terrible to hear, man.
Terrible, man.
But yeah, feel for his family and his friends, and it was a shock to me. It just come out of the blue. So,
Yeah.
but that's how how much I stayed in touch with him. I hadn't seen him since probably 2 months, I think. I think I saw him at the last Grand Rapids show.
Well, yeah, that really
Shame
sucks.
to hear. Yep.
It really is. But I got something in my possession though.
Uh-oh.
It belongs to my father-in-law. And this might just probably won't cheer you up, but it might take your mind off of it for a minute. Couple things here. Here is Batman,
Oh, there you go. Batman from the
Batman.
30s to the 70s.
30s to the
Dude.
70s.
Yep.
Wow.
And look at this.
That's got a lot of good reading in it.
It's got a lot of good everything in there. Look at
Yeah.
that. Now,
That was back when DC wasn't afraid of their past.
right.
They did 3 books like that, and I'm surprised they didn't do more. But Batman, Superman, and Shazam.
Randy, you think the word is afraid? I think it's repulsed by their past.
Well,
All depends on who you
you said
talk
they did
to.
3.
Yeah.
Here's
There's
the
the
second
Superman
one.
one. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, dude.
Also a
From the
great
30s to the
volume.
70s.
Lots
Yeah.
of fun. Yep.
That's a
Lots of good
nice,
reading in it.
that's a nice 1940s strongman body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah, it
It
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, his design with the shorts was actually part of a strongman.
Yeah, exactly. From
Kind
the
of-
carnies.
That's why they wear superheroes wear underwear on the outside, was for that reason.
Yeah, because that was a sign of virility and strength. You know, because the strongmen wore those, and so that was they were creating some symbolism. They weren't, that was back when Superman couldn't fly; he just
Yeah.
could leap
Yep.
Yeah.
In
higher
a
than
single bound.
He was a Superman back then.
yeah, Superman. Now he's downright a god
It's a,
in many
A little
many
too
cases,
close.
so,
Yeah, a little
too
too
close.
powerful, I think. So yeah.
and androgynous.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Androgynous. Yeah,
He started. Yeah.
yeah. We got a lot to cover today, guys.
Yeah.
We got so much to cover. Let's go to the chat real quick.
The whole
Welcome everyone
idea
that's
of
here.
heroism is so gone now.
It really is. They've lost the plot.
Disgusting. Yep.
Quite literally, they've lost
Lost
the
the
plot.
point. I was thinking about that the other day, and how you always had these stories, whether they were fairy tales or mythology or whatever. That's where the old pantheon of superheroes really come out of, is
Yeah.
the old Norse mythology or Greek mythology or Roman mythology, and
Classical
that's all
archetypes.
gone now. You just got weak toast characters walking around wondering about their sexuality in comics instead of actually doing heroic gestures. So
Hey, dude, you're supposed to be inspired by them, not inspired to run away.
not reminded of your own situations over and over and over again. That's what the whole part of the fantasy aspect of it was all about. So, and that
Yeah,
goes for
literary
all
epics.
genders and all sexes and all melanin levels, everything. That's where you find your heroes. That's where you grow up getting a sense of basic ethics and morals, and you don't get that anymore.
Yeah, dude. I just want to go back to those times, man. I don't know if you've seen like all.
You still can. You just pick up books like Luke's.
Oh
got,
yeah, of course.
and you sit
of
and you
course. I
read
mean,
those, and you enjoy them as much as you possibly
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Drew,
what-
I got you covered, man. Just eat a spoonful of sugar every single day, 4 times a day, and you'll be gout ridden in no time.
Yeah. No, dude. Like what I watch is like actually like old Chappelle comedy skits.
Mhm.
If you want to see like how I feel about it, look out for the Black Santa Claus
Yeah.
skit from Dave Chappelle. Like the black community would not like that. It would be horrible. Like you would be getting your toys on the 28th, 29, like all late. Santa will show like with a bottle of 40. Like, sorry, kids. Got some money in Vegas. Gotta sell some toys to get out of there. Where are them cookies at? Like,
I don't,
it's just no.
I don't really want to go back to the age of yore because
dude.
But
The
I
water
do want to
quality
go
was
back
bad.
to the age before social media, when your social media was a bonfire with a couple of friends and you're just hanging out.
Or even before, when social media first popped out, you know, in the days of AOL and CompuServe, when everybody actually talked, exchanged ideas, gave opinions, and rationally considered them.
That was before
dude.
the
Yeah,
age
when
of,
people didn't realize
internet
en
moderation.
masse that they could hide who they were, you know,
Yeah.
hide behind anonymity. You know, I remember
Well,
working.
you didn't want to hide who you were.
No.
You gave out your opinions, and you can be salty and angry or whatever, and not, you know, make
that.
a genuine opinion and not have everybody climb up your rear end for giving it. You know,
It's like that.
You could be free to be hateful and full of spite.
exactly.
Those were the days.
It was like that
Those were the
episode
days.
of. It's like that episode of Parks and Recreation, where Ron Swanson posted something about veganism on the vegan restaurant door, and the guy came and said, "Did you say this?" He goes, "Yes, I did." And they asked, "Well, how did he know where to find you?" Because I put my name and address on it.
Nice.
You know, people used to stand behind what they said, you know, instead of hiding behind what they said.
Yeah.
And
Now that Whiskey mentioned the bonfire, like I remember those moments that doesn't happen anymore. When you're like at a bonfire or a party, everybody gets drunk, and you have this friend that has like a horrible point of view, and he just spurred it out in a drunken like tirade, and everybody's like, oh! Like I miss that.
dang.
Everybody's so guarded. Yeah, it's just like,
like,
dude.
dang, didn't know that. I mean, we didn't stop being his friend.
Yeah, exactly.
We just-
People like,
Laughed.
We just didn't take him around people we cared about after that.
yeah, there's like,
No, you pointed at him, you told him he was full of it, and then you
Yeah.
picked on him for the rest of the day.
exactly.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Stupid
Or
opinion.
for
yeah.
years, depending on the friend group, it
Or
could be
for
years.
years. Definitely years. Years in my friend group. Welcome, John Apple. How's it hanging, guys? It's great to have you here.
To the left.
To the left, just slightly shriveled and to the left. Gray
Actually,
Wolf
to the right,
Graphics.
if you really need to know. Anyway,
Nobody needs to know.
Nobody
to
needs to know that. Gray Wolf Graphics is here. Welcome to one of our channel members. Hi, y'all. Glenn Fleming. Speaking of to the left,
Have a good
Glenn
one.
Fleming.
I'm trying to drink coffee here. Just,
Have a good one. I'll be listening. Speaking to the right, we got Facebook user.
Nice.
I don't know, man. You guys got me. Now you got me off track, guys.
Oof, yeah, that was it.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Why am I looking at you make your breakfast? Because that's what we do here. We got Lord
Lord
Sandwich
Bacon.
in the house. Speaking of breakfast, we got
Sandwich.
Sandwich in the house.
Hey, old buddy.
What's up?
Yeah,
Redshift
yeah.
Comics. Todd, my partner in
Baconators.
crowdfunding over on Fund My Comic, is with us this morning. We've got Russ Leach, the comic book black belt. Sizzle sizzle. It's good to have you here. This is definitely not a charade.
Not a
That's
short.
way.
Yeah. We got Bristolian Dave, all right, me Babbers,
Me
watching while
Babbers.
cleaning. That sounds like fun. We got Tree Goblin in the house. We got
Hey.
Dr. Ben is here.
Dr. Ben.
We got Red Chef Comics says, nice hat, Luke. Yeah. It's a little warm in here, so I had to take the hat off. We got Hojo in the house this morning as well. We got Mad Ruth. Good morning, everyone. Matt, I do
up,
believe
Matt?
you have the link.
Mad.
Feel free to join us if you like. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl.
Yeah.
I do
Close.
believe I think I know that her name was Lola.
Lola.
She
Go
That was
was
back
20
to
years
Lola.
ago when they used to have a show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fred Berry played Rerun. He died in 2003.
Oh, did he?
Well, I take that back.
Sorry to hear.
I guess
That's
he-
why we haven't heard about him
So,
lately.
so he's not doing well anymore.
He's not
He
doing
must
so
have
well.
given out. Yeah.
Well, it depends on where he ended up.
How he went out. Yeah.
We got
It's
Dr.
all
Madison
about
Retro
Still doing
Elixirs
well.
here.
Yeah.
It's all about the dismount in the Olympics. It's how you go.
It's the dismount of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Amount of life.
Did he stick the landing?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was dark.
That means we're still up here performing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why does things outside his
Now, after that pregnant pause, as we all reflect on our own mortality, like,
Amen.
yes. Two of us here got real close.
Oof,
I'm reminded daily. Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Glenn Fleming says, "Why does Superman wear his
Every time I
undies on
look
the
in the
outside of
mirror.
his pants? Because Chuck Norris told him to."
That's right.
That makes sense.
That's a
Will
fair
Pace is
point.
in the house. Hail, Luke Stone, Randy Zimmerman, Pedro, and Whiskey.
Hail,
Nice to
William.
have you here.
But Will,
Hello,
That's why Indy is required.
yeah,
Let's
right.
see who else do we got. We got Lion Mill Studio in the house. Good morning. It's good to have you here. I want to go back to the internet days when you could sell drugs and drugs without being bothered by the government.
Oh yeah, dude, the dark web. You can get some
Dark
sweet
web.
stuff there. Mhm.
I'm glad that's I'm glad that's your desires, I guess.
Yeah, dude. We all can
My
have
goodness.
dreams, you know. It's-
I still enjoy getting Facebook memories like 10 years ago. Simpler
Yeah,
times. It
simpler
really was.
times.
I'm like, ooh, some of those memories pop up. I'm like, oh crap, hopefully nobody sees this one. Because I could totally get canceled for that viewpoint now.
And the girls were hotter.
I mentioned something about science, and now science is triggering. Jason Black. I almost said Jack Black. My goodness.
Jack Black.
Oh, it's going to be a long morning, folks.
My community. Okay.
Hail my community. Yes, and we got standard.
Dismount, yeah.
Standard of dismount relies on how much tequila you have consumed.
Oh,
Look at
rum.
that. Welcome, wise guys. It's
Or
great
rum,
to have you
yeah.
here today. He meant drugs and guns. And
You meant
yeah,
drugs and drugs.
I agree.
Lion
That.
Mill.
Drugs and drugs. He meant
Yeah.
drugs 2 times drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're gonna. Goodness, we got a lot of news to cover today. There's been a lot going on in the comic world. We do have a few things to talk about as well. We're going to define what community is today.
Oh
We're
yeah.
going to talk about the idea of taking. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it starts with tequila. No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a difference between community and party.
all right. Yeah.
Party starts with tequila.
yep. Starts with that,
Yeah, you can have a community party.
Rum.
with
and
rum.
it ends. It ends with crying alone in the dark.
That was a little bit, but
Or crying in the middle.
That
of,
got dark.
two
That got too
big-
dark.
Yeah,
Dark.
I mean, if I'm crying in the
Too
middle,
far.
if I end up crying in the middle of 2 big breasts at the end of the night, I call that a win,
I wouldn't
and
be
that has
crying,
happened.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
what if it's a big
containers.
fat guy? And I'm not
Hey,
trying to body
never
shame.
specified. Never specified.
Just as long as it's. So
Two big
last
breasts.
week we covered the dock workers. The dock workers have reached a settlement. Everyone.
Ooh.
Hooray! Now you can get cheap crap from China again.
I don't
Yes.
know, man.
The Teamsters
Take out
authorized a
World
UPS
News.
strike.
Check out World News. The port in Shanghai is empty.
So the West Coast
How
dock
did they-
workers reached an agreement with port operators last week, ending one labor dispute as UPS Teamsters voted to authorize a strike, heating up the next potential supply chain disruption. So we can get it to the dock, but we can't get it to our door now.
Oh no.
Yeah. Dock workers at West Coast ports, which handle most of the incoming consumer goods from Asian manufacturers, including games, comics, books, and merch, have been
Okay,
working
Luke.
without a contract. Yes.
Look, can you make a parenthesis here? Because this line is very important. He didn't say China. He said Asian.
Asian.
Asian. Because the things that's happening right now, it's a lot of manufacturing enterprises have left China and have gone to
Yeah.
other countries within Asia.
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
doing a lot,
So
yeah.
it's
Korea.
a big paradigm shift. Japan, Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, all those guys are
A lot of Malaysia.
taking everything out of China right now. So there's a big paradigm shift coming. But we need truck drivers to deliver those goods. So keep on
Yeah.
going.
So now,
I-
so now UPS is out.
I
Yeah.
believe most of the direct market relies on UPS.
Yes, I do.
So either
That's
FedEx
true.
is going to get a lot of business, or they're going to have to settle here in a hurry.
UPS and USPS work together. FedEx, I don't like to even touch FedEx. They're terrible.
Yeah.
I've never had a good experience with FedEx. So the agreement provides for a 32% pay increase through 2028 and a one-time hero bonus for working through the pandemic, according to the Wall
Oh
Street
my
Journal.
God.
Which most of them didn't do.
No, we throw that word hero around too
Yeah.
loosely.
Way too much.
loosely. So here's something else that's going on. Frank Miller is on his way back to Daredevil. Here's that Frank Miller cover. Let's take a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that. Another Frank Miller cover. He is not the Frank Miller of old.
He's not putting in the effort, I think. I don't know, man. The things that I feel disrespectful saying things like this, but this feels.
He is not the
fine.
Frank Miller of old.
Yeah. Look at the bend of that leg. Like that's.
I'm unimpressed.
That's just like structurally unsound.
Yeah, where that fist is, no arm.
No arm. The leg and the calf, or the tibia and the femur, are like at 90 degrees almost. Like that's physically impossible to do.
I don't see an elbow on that arm.
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's no anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
This
There's
is
no
all
construction.
DNA.
Well, when you're paying him, there doesn't have to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Frank freaking Miller.
Yeah, he'll sell the book on name alone.
Well, he'll sell the book to the retailers on name alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they are the actual customer that Marvel tries to aim for. Was supposed to try to aim for. They don't. They've never treated them worth a darn anyway. Ever since the direct market started, they've always disrespected the retailer. But they take it anyway. Anyway.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
So
the
he's
thing's
back in
like,
the
like
series.
he's not that old, is he? Like Frank Miller.
He's in his 60s.
He's old. He's in his late
60s,
60s, early
late
70s,
60s.
isn't he?
I mean, he looks 97. So, but yeah, he's.
That's
I
from
mean,
Fun Living, probably.
Yeah, I've seen older folks doing better jobs. That's what I mean.
We got Blake
Well,
Northcott. Speaking of communities,
That could also fall under the heading "you get what you pay for."
Oh, maybe. Yeah, probably. Like, I don't really want to bash him directly because I don't know what his situation is when he's pushing out like art like that. But just like if I'm being completely objective, I don't like it.
Yeah, it does seem like he's phoning it in.
I
Who is
saw
this?
this article and it actually had me go over to their site. I went over to their site because I'd never heard of these guys before. Just to take a look.
I mean, can I make the note before we read anything that she has crazy eyes?
Yeah, they do look a little bit on the.
Yeah, she's making me very uncomfortable.
First
Very
impressions are
uncomfortable.
everything, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she will throw like a pot of hot water
I'm
in
seeing
my face. and we
way
fight.
too much of the eyeball there.
Yeah, it's like
That's always a rule for me. It's like too much eyeball. No.
too much eyeball. I'm out.
Yeah. Big
I'm
wide
out.
eyes. Oh no, no.
I'm
She
too
looks like
sexy.
she's
I'm too
judging
sexy,
you.
and they get attached. So no.
That goes for everybody. That goes for everybody.
She kind of looks like she's just like planning Hunger Games in her head. You know?
Yeah. Like she's
Just
gonna
to
put
me,
like rat poison on your soup or something.
She
Like,
just
no.
looks like she's in the middle of a med adjustment. That's all. She's just getting medicated.
Blake was a nice gal. She was originally in the Comicsgate community
Let's go.
Oh, I see.
long time ago, and then she had an opportunity for some mainstream stuff, and scrubbed her social media of all
Completely
that.
scrubbed. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I was around for that. That's been
Just like
years
that
ago.
one girl that went out and went on a rant about how racist Stan Lee was right after he died, and then ended up working at Marvel. Went through and scrubbed all of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So,
Lion Mill.
yeah.
I'm not talking about her. Lion Mill's like she's a top notch, smart and hot. I'm talking about the picture. Not I don't know if she's like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
The picture.
No, I
is
agree.
Communicating that.
Oh yeah.
So
No,
we need a
she's
better
smart
picture.
she's smart and hot. Yeah, she's actually. This is a good hire for them. She's actually quite
Cool.
talented.
Yeah.
Really?
Sorry
Yeah.
if I misconstrued
Yeah, I like her
my
stuff.
comment. Yeah, sorry if I misconstrued the comment. Like I don't know her. Like how can I have an opinion on her? But the picture, woo!
Well, her the massive publishing just looked like the next, like they were generating Netflix opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, that's most of what these smaller
They weren't
publishers
working on any kind of IP
are doing these days.
as,
Yeah.
as much as just let's find a
Yeah.
catchy name and make up a story. Yeah,
Yeah, but I recognize the name. You know, she's moving up.
Yeah.
You know, she got an article written about her. She is pretty talented. You know, I mean, the talented writers and editors in comic books are further and fewer between. So I will tell you, she's got more right to work for IDW than Antos does. That's in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay, I'll
Well, but
take
it's
your
my
word
opinion.
for that.
But
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
a stapler has more
good to
right
know.
to be at IDW.
Yeah, you got me there.
Just goes to
Well, it
show
only
you,
takes a couple of really talented people in key positions to make or break a company.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
I'm a lot
Wow.
more impressed with ElfQuest
Okay.
and the stuff that Wendy and Richard have been doing.
Okay.
You're already logged in.
You're
I'm already logged in.
Yeah. You're
I want my
boomering-
numbers.
You're boomering live, sir.
I want my numbers, man. All right, pro
Don't dox
articles.
yourself.
So I guess the
want
whole
my
crazy
numbers.
eyes
There's-
thing goes to show you can't really judge a book by its
No.
cover unless you're.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't know anyone that's actually dated her. They might say she's,
Yeah.
you know, like I know guys that look kind of crazy, but you're like, oh, but maybe they're not. And then when you hear the Me Too stories, you're like, yeah, that dude is crazy.
I don't know. Growing up in the jungle, I stay away from brightly colored beasts. So, persons
you don't
are
like the
very
blondes.
important to me. Yeah.
No,
No,
blondes,
everything. Like if I see a red, black, and yellow snake, I'm not gonna stay there and find out if it's poisonous or not. I'm just
Just
getting
gonna
out
get
of
laid,
there.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
No. All of my interactions that I've ever had with Blake
Yeah.
back in the day, she's very, very nice lady and
Well, good.
smart, got a good head on her shoulders,
Awesome.
and she's fairly talented.
Oh, cool.
You know, so that was a good hire for them. So congratulations to her, working her
So,
way up.
But
Now maybe she can,
step into a better direction.
yeah, hopefully she can step into even more good positions. She's one of the ladies that when she gets hired or promoted, there's no question, you know, like when some people might make insinuation, well, who are they sleeping with? I would
right.
never have that question about her whatsoever. Like that would never, she's, the only thing that she's ever done that I thought was not quite an integrity move, but makes sense from a professional standpoint, was when she had that opportunity to move into a mainstream position. She scrubbed all of her connections with Comicsgate because she was very. She hadn't actually come out as being associated,
But
she
she
was
was
very.
active.
She was very active within those groups of people. She was very much adjacent, and then just kind of cut that off.
Well, we know
And-
there's a lot of publishers out there that will completely obliterate and shun you if they catch you associating with any CG people.
Yeah. So I mean, to an extent, that makes sense. It
Those
made
people
sense
are
to
hate
me.
groups. But
Yeah, it made sense
Dude,
to me.
the
I
thing
wasn't
that-
happy about it, but
I think that paradigm is like dissolving because what does working for the mainstream mean anymore? You know?
yeah, what is the mainstream?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is there a mainstream these days? Well, we're getting ready to
Look
find out
obvious.
that I don't think there really is.
I mean,
Look at these
So there's a
numbers.
few things going on right now.
Oh, yeah, it's
Main
called
numbers
Japan.
are in.
it's called Japan.
Yeah, it's called Japan. Hopefully, you guys are keeping an eye on the chat for me because I'm not seeing it right now. So again, here we go.
Jitsi Lemons says, don't call them crazy eyes, call them hungry eyes.
Hungry eyes. She's got
That's even worse.
hungry eyes.
That's even worse. Like I don't want a hungry lady next to me. Oh
Hungry for depends on what she's hungry for.
no, even if it's food. Like people when they're hungry, they.
No, I was
they
talking
eat
about
super
food.
Fast. Yeah, exactly.
See, Pedro, that's where you and I are different. I'm ruled by food. Depends on what she's hungry for.
Dude, I live next to a tourist area.
I'm a
So
suffer
when I
Mexican.
go out, dude, like tourist ladies are looking for local fare. That's all I'm
Let me
gonna
check
say.
out some. Who all do we have in the chat now? Still,
Yeah.
Wise guys,
I'm not
Lion Mill.
offended by anything.
Oh, cool. We're talking about the comment that we're not really calling her crazy. We're calling the picture crazy.
Yeah, the picture looks crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I only
Yeah.
need one crazy lady in my life.
there you
yeah
go.
exactly. I already had 4, and I think I'm done. Like, how many tours of Vietnam can you do? You know, so
Yeah, that's right. You can't quite
Yeah.
see the top or bottom of the pupil. It's darn
Yeah.
close. It's darn close. It's darn close. And that goes for everybody. Look at
Yeah.
what was his name? Manson, Charles Manson.
yeah, exactly, dude. That's like the model.
Oh
Gosh,
gosh.
out with that look.
Nora's Saga, huh? According to Wise Guys, she worked on Nora's Saga.
Oh, cool.
Which was pretty good, yeah.
So she's actually
Kelsey
written
Shannon.
something I've actually read. Amazing.
She's talented, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool when your own like resume.
That
can
is
speak
a
for you.
model for failure. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yetsu Lemons. Yeah, Yetsu Lemon is in.
It is now. Yep.
Nice to have him here. Manticore, welcome.
Manticore.
Yep. And then let me see who else. Yeah. Yeah, it did feel like she was kind of divorcing herself from that.
Yeah.
Yep, they never know what they want to eat anyway. That is absolutely true. That is so true. Waiting for dinner. I don't know. Okay, how about
Oh no, they know what they want.
how about
what you order.
how about this place? No, I don't want that.
Yeah. No,
They don't know what they
you-
want. They know what they don't want.
No, Lou. The thing is, like, when you order, then they want your plate of food.
They want
Like
mine.
it's not like they want you like order the same thing you order. No, they want your food, so you're hungry and they're not. At
Okay.
least that's
Yeah.
my experience.
Last month, Yen Press moved 6,000 units of Solo Leveling Volume
nice.
6.
Yen
Okay.
Press.
Yen Press.
Yen.
Top Shelf moved just under 6,000 units of
Oh, wow.
They Called Us Enemy by George Takei.
Ooh.
Again, Yen Press.
Can you
Eyes
be any
Oni.
more Japanese than the Yen Press?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oni, Genderqueer, is up.
Oh,
They moved
okay.
2,800 copies
Wow.
of Genderqueer last month in May
How did they
Nice.
do that? The people wanting to see it, I guess.
because it's being banned.
Oh, is
They're
that what it is?
using that. Yeah, they're using the.
Oh,
That's
those
move
are
it.
going into the kids
So
sections at
that's
libraries.
number 7. That's number 7. Well, let's see. This says that it's. We can actually get drilled down into that. So this is.
That's just going to cause more problems.
No.
Let's actually go. Let's go to. Let's go to comics. Let's actually look up. We can see kids, like
Oh my God, don't
so
say
top
that.
20 adult, top 20 kids graphic novels.
Oh,
Let's look. Let's see if it's on. Let's see if it's on the list.
all right.
Oh, let's hope not.
God, I hope not. All right.
Dogman.
You know, graphics,
That kid,
graphics is on there.
Dogman, yeah.
All right, great.
Babysitters,
It's not
Dogman,
there,
Wings.
which means it should be. It should be on the adult one. So here is the adult graphic novel.
Well, see, Oni could have solved all of this problem very early on by just doing some creative editing.
Oh my God.
No,
this
it's
is
not
so
even on
painful.
adult.
They had a creative editor. Anyway,
Dude, this is so
They would-
painful. Like
not even an adult.
11
there's nothing-
pages by Viz Media.
yeah. There's
You see,
nothing
this
at
is
all
the-
wrong about somebody looking to asking those questions. It's the visuals that were the problem with that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely the visuals. It's like, we don't need and even if you want to make those visuals, I mean, we have comics on Fun My Comic that are quite graphic.
Oh, those are all. We used to sell when I was running bookstores. We used to sell books with that kind of content in it, but they were always down the adult aisle. They weren't open for kids to check out of school and take home to their parents.
No.
You know, for their
Cat
parents
what?
to read.
Cat sip?
Dave
But
Pilkey,
Dog
man,
Man, these books are good. Yeah,
Yeah.
graphics has got the top 10.
Look
That's
at the mainstream.
Scholastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the mainstream.
Yeah.
it's really Scholastic.
This
That
is the mainstream, guys.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Scholastics and
oddly,
Yen.
there's no numbers there that they show.
Yeah. That's funny.
yeah, no numbers on that one.
No numbers. But they are probably more than 10, probably 20 times the amount of that last graph that you showed.
Well,
showed.
Let's
Because
talk
they're
about
in,
Viz for
they're
a
in
second.
the Walmarts, they're in all of the box stores. They have beautiful point of purchase displays, just incredibly well done for parents to walk by and catch. And they're big, thick, hardbound books that are $10 or up between 10 and $15 for parents to pick up for their kids. That's their market.
This is true. A lot of times those leftist books get bought up by rich donors to make it look like they're selling. It's kind of a money
doing well.
laundering scheme
Yeah.
when it comes to political books.
Oh, like Motor
Dr.
Art.
Mass says that, and honestly, let's be fair, that happens on, just from leftists, but also from right-wing conservatives as well.
Yeah.
There are a number of people that will prop up a project just for the fact they want to support our culture war.
Yeah, for
they
the
want to help.
optics.
They want to support their warriors in the culture war. They're the ones in the battle.
Yep.
And so they'll support them financially, and that's what they do with that. So yeah, it goes both ways. So it's hard to get a real sense of really what's being.
It's
sold, I
always
guess.
been difficult ever since the direct market came in and the collectability in comics skyrocketed in the 90s to find who's actually reading these books as opposed to just buying them and stashing them.
Well, Craig and I were talking about this the other day, even within our quote unquote community, which we're going to define here shortly, is, and you can see I'm moving past the news because there's more I think what we're going to be talking about.
I
is
got to
gonna
step
require
out
more
for a
of our
second.
attention.
I will be right back.
All
right.
All right. Be right
So,
back.
all right. But we're even talking about this even within our own community that people will buy books, but they don't actually read them.
Yeah.
Because he says, "Oh, what'd you think of the book?" And like people aren't responding because they probably bought the book and put it in the corner. They never intend to actually read it.
I mean,
That could be
there's
tough.
like
It can be tough.
the guy who supports the movement for, I don't want to say political reasons, because I don't want to bash anyone who will buy a book. It's just, I mean, they're interested enough in what you're doing to put some money behind it, and that's valuable.
Yeah. Oh, and we're
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Yeah,
You know,
but yeah,
um,
like maybe their motivations, they're not really into comics. They just want to support, and God bless them. But yeah, as
That's
a
good too.
community, it's really difficult. And also, I'm not bashing collectors,
No,
but
no,
the
no.
motivation for a collector is not to read the comic; it's to have
No,
the
it's
item
not.
stored
It's
and to
yeah,
see
it's to
if
have
it's
it, to
valuable.
possess it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
When
so
I had more disposable income, what I would do is I'd purchase a graphic novel, and then the first 5 of the comic, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then
Yeah.
the graphic novel, and then I'd read the graphic novel and then hang up the preceding comics.
Oh, okay.
There you
So
go.
I'd have the collector side, and then I would have
The reading copy. Yeah.
which a graphic novel is just honestly a little better to hold in your hand, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to look at the I like collecting graphic novels and floppies, but whatever encourages a person to buy your stuff, you're grateful for all of it, right?
Yeah.
But you have to kind of diversify your business model in order to be able to reach each one of those people for whatever reason. Now, ultimately, we do want people to read the stories. That's why we work so hard at making the stories good.
Yeah.
And
And
But
that's the
there
thing.
is-
Like, how do you market to a collector? It's not the same kind of marketing because their targets are different.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have to almost have 2 marketing plans and 2 business structures
Yeah,
in
exactly.
place in order to do that, to reach as many people as you possibly can. Now, when it comes to people buying things because it's politically motivated, sorry,
Yeah.
you know right away when you're going to get kind of that buy-in. For instance, Ma'am I Am is going to have a large politically motivated group to get behind that. And because of its place in the culture war. Same way with my friend William over at Incel Riots, Incel Riot Studios, where he does. Now he's quite clever of a game designer in putting all that stuff together, and a graphic designer as well. But he's got a really funny, satirical, political sense of humor. He lives in Wuhan, China.
Okay. Wow.
And so, yeah. So he gets this exterior view of American subcultures and tends to just make fun of them, which puts a huge target on his back. But people will support that game. There are people that will support that game because of it, that he's got Cult Virtue Signal, because of the political ramifications that it has. But then there's people that will support it because of the humor that it has and the gameplay that it has. The game itself.
But Luke, don't you feel that humor itself, it's now a political statement?
It is.
What
it kind
makes
of
you
is.
laugh? What makes you laugh becomes a political statement, which to me is stupid. Because what I find funny, it's funny, and that's it.
Look,
I'm not expecting like a brochure after the joke. But
Ricky Gervais is an atheist,
yeah,
agnostic or whatever.
agnostic. It's not.
Yeah. And he makes fun of religion. It's somewhat offensive, but I still laugh at some of these jokes only because his viewpoint of it, he finds the humor in what we're doing.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
exactly.
yeah, there are some silly things that we've adopted that aren't necessarily biblical that is within religion that makes a lot of religions look a little ridiculous to the outsider. And if we can't chuckle at those things, then we can never. There's something about that, like looking at it and chuckling at it. It helps you know that, oh wow, am I fueling a joke right now
Yeah, it grounds you.
with my behavior, or should maybe
Am I feeling a
adapt?
stereotype? Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's the thing.
maybe I
Like
should
I compare Ricky Gervais, which is agnostic and he's very opinionated, but he's not preachy. Now compare him to Stephen Fry. Do you know who Stephen Fry is?
Yeah, I don't care for him.
Yeah, that guy's really preachy, and he's telling people how they should be, and that's why he doesn't connect at the level Ricky does.
Yeah,
And I think that's
Exactly.
the source of the problem, because people
That
are
is the
just
source of
like,
the problem.
you should be, or you should do. You know what? Shut up! Don't tell me how to live, because you don't know my experience.
Yeah.
You don't know why I chose religion, what I find in religion. So this is not your place. And I'm not agnostic, but I'm not like a big practitioner of religion. Like I'm more a laissez-faire, which is basically a laissez-faire guy who smokes weed. So, and that's how I live my life. But I try not to mess with people's religion because I don't know how they got to that place and what that does to them.
right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
so
mean?
we tend to leave those things alone. But unfortunately, right now, politics has become a religion,
Yeah,
and people's
exactly.
gods are the political figures that
Their
they
political
worship.
stances. No, not
Yeah.
even political things, political stances.
Yeah,
That's
the political
even worse.
stances. Yeah,
It's very
and
abstract.
they create idols and AOC and Schumer and Biden
God.
and the Clintons.
I wouldn't let
but-
AOC serve me Sprite.
But again, it's also true of people on the right. I mean, it's just right now, it's just so common on the left. But it's also prevalent on the right. I call it nationalism, where there's churches that basically worship Trump. I had a pastor friend of mine send me article after article on these Trump prophecies. And I'm like, you know what? Like none of them came true.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so if you were so like, when did you forfeit the Holy Scripture for some podcaster's viewpoint of what he thought the end times was going to look like?
Yeah.
Where's your brain? Where's your heart? Where's your
No.
dedication
And at
to
what
truth?
point? At what point does that become idolatry? You know what I mean?
It is. Well, as soon as it becomes more important to you and you spend more time listening to those podcasts and reading those things than you do the Holy Scripture. And when you start to try to distort the Holy Scripture to fit into those theories,
Into a narrative, yeah.
it is now idolatry to you. That is idolatry.
Yeah.
It is no better than any other form of idolatry. And so, anyway, we kind of got off topic with that.
We got deep. No, I mean, I enjoy
yeah.
this kind of conversations too, because we
Yeah.
go deep at Nerd Bacon. Hell
This,
yeah.
this might be a salty take, but I think idolatry is a part of idolatry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of
Everybody
idolatry
should
and all
stay
that.
out of idolatries.
Idolatry is a part of idolatry.
Idolatry. Yeah.
I would say that cancel
Shady
culture
products.
goes both ways, or there's a danger of it going both ways, for all across
dude.
that spectrum. And the Overton window, it's not like a straight line. It doesn't just it wiggles around and shifts and changes.
It really does.
And so you never know what's gonna upset somebody one day or not the other day. So
I can always tell what's going to upset people in your people in your neighborhood's kind of political viewpoint there in Canada, because you get real quiet.
Yeah.
See, he doesn't say a word.
We are.
Yeah, you got
That's how we know.
yeah,
That's how we know. So, Viz to raise manga prices in 2024 after holding the line for 15 years. After 15 years of pricing most of its manga at $9.99 per volume, Viz Media is raising the MSRP to $11.99 for both new series and new volumes of ongoing series starting January 2024. Price hikes are hitting everybody, buddy.
Yep.
Paper is more expensive. Distribution is more expensive.
Now check if
and they
price-
have the market by the balls too. That's the other thing nobody's.
They really
Like,
do.
everybody's-
Yeah, people are going to spend it.
This is the time. If there was a time to like spike prices, it's now for manga at least.
Yep. Well, that's still less than most publishers. Currently, a standard volume of manga not an omnibus or special edition costs $12.99 for Kodansha comic titles, $13 for Yen Press, $12.99 to $14.99 for titles from Seven Seas Entertainment. But the fact that Viz, after 15 years, is finally moving up, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So that just says that, look, it's all happening. In fact, with Iron Age distribution, our retail version of the books, when people have to sell through us, the cover price has to be $6 in order for us to make the pricing work for the store to make their percentage. We just can't do it at $5 because of the cost of
Yeah, the
literally
volumes
everything.
you're moving, like it's
Yeah.
all justifiable, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. John Apple says it seems all it takes to get canceled anymore is thinking for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Think for yourself.
Lion Mill laughs. Trump prophecy. Yes. It was a thing. I'm telling you, it was a thing.
Yeah. Like, I will come down from the sky in a diamond-studded chariot. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be fabulous. You know, that like how would a Trump prophecy sound like? I don't know.
I always point out to people that there were two attempted attacks on Trump when he was running for president, both of which swore that they had come back in time in order to stop him.
Yep.
Oh,
So
again?
there's your prophecy for you.
All right. So
This
I got to bring this, man. Okay. I'm not mad about this.
Okay.
I'm just going to be honest with you. Okay. So here, Marvel will launch a new Captain Marvel series in October. And it will get a makeover by Eisner Award-winning artist Jen Bartel.
Oh my god.
Now, here's the thing. Eisner Awards don't matter. That's
mean
because
anything.
she earned that from her peers. What matters is what the fans think.
It's a popularity contest.
When I look at this design, I see the original leotard underneath these pants. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but what I do like are these fingerless gloves, and I like this jacket. So if you look at some of my designs for Chlorine before her redesign, I put this like 90s style short jacket on her. Like these are incredibly fun to draw, and I think they look good, and they kind of make sense. And I love the flowing ponytail.
And she looks
this.
feminine.
She looks feminine. She looks feminine, but I like that it has a little of the new with the red and yellow and blue.
I think the
Yeah.
Wonder
And it
Woman
has a little bit of
tiara
the
on,
old.
on the wrist is really nice too.
I do. I like that. And I like that that it almost seems out of place, but it's that gold star thing
Yeah.
in the black leotard. I just like that is in there. It's like she had it in her closet and she just threw this on to go out and kick some ass.
And you know what I'm noticing too? Breastises. She has them.
Is that what that is? I thought
Yeah,
that was
Yes.
Zippa.
She's got
it's
breasts.
not-
She's got curves.
Yeah,
Look,
it's
that
not
is
the-
definitely a
I love
feminine
that.
leg.
Yeah.
Huh.
Look
It's
at
not
that.
the uni.
Wild.
It's not the
No.
uni
I-
breast.
I did notice no elbow though.
Yeah.
Elbows are hard to draw, man.
Yeah, no, the thing's like in a foreshortened pose like
Kirby
that.
didn't draw elbows.
Yeah.
Kirby drew a squiggle.
Well,
This
yeah,
pose is
but
very
at least the
foreshortened.
elbow was there, you know.
Yeah.
He
so
drew a
you-
squiggle for the elbow and the knee.
Squiggle, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Little Fred Hembeck used to just draw curly cues, you know.
There's an
But
elbow.
Randy,
See this little-
like
look.
the elbow is a little bit insinuated. The things like you get the
There's the
flexors
elbow.
and the extensors of the
Really?
forearm
That
get on top
that
of the.
looks
yeah.
like shadow. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, it could
I
have been
missed
a little bit more marked, but yeah.
This
I
is
make my
just-
elbows with a shadow.
This is really their attempt to make Captain Marvel more cosplayable.
Yeah.
Just like Ms.
Probably,
Marvel, they made her costume intentionally so that kids could dress up as Ms. Marvel, and you still see maybe one or two of them at a show, maybe every year. But this is the same idea. They don't want somebody in that long, skin tight bodysuit. They'll just put her in a black leotard and have a jacket around her in order to hide her figure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The original Captain Marvel made me like bring out the singles. Is that design was fun, but not many people could pull that off.
No. Well, I'm gonna be fair. I actually do create my character designs with cosplay in mind.
Okay.
Because I want people to be able to dress up as my characters, but I also know that a lot of these conventions are so. For instance, a big one, C2E2, is in February in Chicago, and I'm like, man, if they're wearing short, like, these girls are gonna freeze to death, right? Because I'm thinking like a dad. So I'm like, let's give them a costume that they can at least somewhat stay warm in, if they're out there in the in these cold climates doing these conventions. So I kind of think along those lines. So now so now two of my main female characters have all of my female characters now have skin tight leotards that cover the whole body, but it gives me room for design work to do on those things. And then but it also, like, when they cosplay, these poor girls can stay warm.
Yeah, exactly. You're being mindful of the nipple.
I'm being mindful of the whole process. So I don't have a problem with designing a character for cosplayers, because let's be honest, if you can get a cosplayer to do it, that's free advertising for your book, man.
That huge.
And well, we talked a few weeks ago about how the thermometer for an IP, how these businesses are looking, like what IPs are hot, is they see what are the cosplayers dressing up as.
Oh, I see.
That's how they can determine what IPs are popular.
Yeah.
So the cosplayer is a determining factor on how popular your work is. So I mean,
look,
why not?
You just gave me a great idea.
I'm a capitalist, guys.
No, the thing is, like,
as an editor, I have to sit there and wonder who in the world approved of the Wonder Woman tiara around the wrist.
Right, because it's so close to Wonder Woman.
That's too close.
It's too close.
And instead of the nega bands like what Marvel always had on, they could have switched it for that. Instead, they go for this point with the star in the center of it.
Yeah,
that's Wonder Woman. When the minute I saw that drawing, I thought Wonder Woman.
Randy, do you think this is like lawsuit close or just close?
No. It's not lawsuit close, but it is. Some editor up there is sleeping to think that they want to advertise their competitor's main female character by putting that kind of imagery on their female character. You might as well dress her up in a bathing suit and put a tiara on her head at that point. And that star is right out there.
And white stars on the undies.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw it. I said, no, wait, that's Captain Marvel.
So there are some very talented cosplayers out there too.
Saying in the video game kind of like circles that Captain Marvel is trying to mimic Cammy from Street Fighter.
Oh yeah,
I too.
I see that as well. I do see Cammy in there with the hair. Yeah, there's a lot of elements from other things that I'm actually not mad at the design. I'm like, it's one of the better redesigns that I've seen them do in the last decade.
Captain Marvel should have short military hair.
Yeah,
she should. Yeah,
she should. And the ponytail there is just going to get in the way. What I was thinking was the two strands there make them look like horns. The two strands in the front of her head.
Oh, Satan
almost
style.
Like the redesign of Punisher. The Punisher logo.
Yeah, well, those are thought bangs.
It's not a flattering. It's not a flattering look. Captain Marvel could be such a great
idea,
character and a female role model.
Yeah.
If they'd write her correctly and dress her correctly and put her in adventures that people actually wanted to read. There's a couple of Kelly Sue McConaughey books that are okay, But the Firkin was a cute idea, but you know, in the movies now it looks like it's being way overused.
Yeah.
But
I have this great idea, man.
somebody needs an editor. They need an editor up there.
Yeah, check
They
this out.
fired all of them already.
Check this out, guys. Because I know 2 cosplayers down here in Panama who are top notch. They can make like any costume you want. And the thing is that there's a group of girls down here, mostly from Colombia and Venezuela, that would do like very questionable things for less than $100. So getting them to cosplay our characters would be very cheap. And I'm talking gorgeous models.
We should do it.
Your
Yeah.
mic is shaky. You're causing some static, Pedro.
Okay, let me see.
Oh, I don't hear any static.
You can hear me now?
I'm
So
hearing
make sure-
hardcore static out of him. Is anybody else doing that, or is it just me?
I'm not hearing it.
I don't know. Okay, there's banging outside.
Could be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're constructing.
Yeah.
Probably
But
me.
yeah, like
Russ
I'm
said,
not
why
sure
would
if
you be
it's-
mad? Who
I'm not
doesn't
sure if
have
it's
any-
legal in your country, Pedro, or not, but like I could just imagine Pedro up in a police station being like, "No, I swear, I was just trying to, advertise cosplay."
yeah.
Just trying to promote my
the
work.
thing is like no, like
It wasn't
we're
big in
not
the
we're not gonna be
bag,
doing
but-
anything illegal. The thing like they do horrible things for under $100. So it was like, hey, wear this, I'm gonna take pictures of you.
This
It's
is
not
definitely
illegal.
A family friendly.
Yeah, we're talking about an opportunity here. Because these girls are gorgeous and they need the money, man. So, so we wow. I'm gonna get in contact with the cosplayers who can make the costumes, and then I have this friend that we call the Bean Fat guy, Gordo Poroto. Like he's really into that world of girls in need. He can give me a roster like around 8 or 10 girls who could do this.
Look, for them to make money legitimately
Yeah,
without having
exactly.
to do anything
Mhm.
immoral would be
Yeah,
nice.
exactly. Yeah, it's nothing immoral. I'm just saying getting the a professional cosplayer that has won awards to make the costumes.
As
Yeah.
Just
opposed
make
to a
this
model
girl-
agency or like a model
Yeah, it would be like a model agency. Yeah, that
as
could
opposed
work.
to one. That's,
Yeah.
Well,
The thing is, like, I
it's
don't
Panama. They don't actually have agencies for anything there.
No, we do. We do have model agencies, but
Oh, you do? Okay.
yeah. Dude,
I was
like,
just trying to
worked
make
with-
fun of your country. That's all.
Oh yeah, dude. Like
That's what I
they were
do as an
making fun of me,
American.
like- Yeah,
As an American, as a
they were asking me like, what do I drive? I was like, no, I have a.
Oh,
Burro, and then I
okay.
got, like, the
So I was
Toyota
getting ready to
Tacoma,
say,
and I
as
drive
a-
the Burro with it.
Pedro, I was getting ready to say as a white cis male American, but cis now. Did you hear?
Yeah,
It's a
that's
slur.
Yeah.
Elon Musk says no, it's a slur.
It's
And
always
that-
been a slur.
It has been. It has been. I didn't make it up for me. That's not doesn't exist, right? But he's like, no, that's if you use that term to go after someone, you will be flagged. And
It's like NPC.
like NBC, yeah.
thank God they finally made it a slur.
It's always been a slur.
Yeah.
Got it, like
Anyway.
officially on the
Fun
Dude,
side
like,
note.
I would
Fun
go,
side note.
I would go if I was Elon Musk. I would go the opposite way. I will tell like that community, oh, you want to use cis? I'm gonna release the Kraken. Everything's off.
Don't.
Full
No,
words
don't.
Oh, that
do
would
not
that would
use
make
them.
for an interesting site. What
Yeah,
are they going to do?
exactly.
Get more bitter?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's nothing they can
So,
do. Like, they
My
will
son
tell you
asked
this
me.
like this.
My son asked me yesterday. I was talking about this. He goes, I've never had anyone call me cis, and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I said, honestly, I said most people that's aimed at don't care, but the people that care, that want to use that word, that they use that as a derogatory, and saying that they can't use it, it really triggers them. So it makes us a little happy, to watch people get triggered over stupid stuff. And I guess I'm an anarchist in that way. I don't watch
And the
the
thing
world
is, like,
burn. Sit back
I
with
know
popcorn.
I know exactly what I will face if we release the Kraken on Twitter. Like all the words.
Right. All right. So
N word, F word, all of
Disney
it.
Plus.
Off.
I really want to get into some
Go,
other
go, go.
discussion here. So
Yeah.
Disney Plus is in the news twice today.
Yeah.
They're in the news twice today. First off, because the artist community. So we're going to start working on this word community. Art is an industry, but there is a community of artists. So I think a lot of times we mistaken the term community and industry. And in a little bit, I'm just going to let Randy go off because I know he's got a lot to say about this. But what we're seeing here is Marvel, because of this writer's strike and everything else that's going on, rather than doing what is favorable by the artist community that work within the industry, they're completely dollar-centric on this one. And so they've used AI as this intro. Guys, watch this.
I saw it already.
Fury, since you've been gone, things have gotten much worse. Why do you think I came back?
You're in no shape for this fight that lies before us, old friend.
This is personal.
Very few of us know about the wars fought in the shadows that have raged on this planet. Do you feel responsible?
Oh, the mother of madness.
Where are the Avengers? This war is one I have to fight alone.
You're the most wanted man on the planet.
You don't know what they have planned for you.
The great Nick Fury. One last fight.
So the question is, how much of it's AI? I mean, like, from my perspective, it was lagging a bit, so I didn't know where it started or where it ended.
Yeah,
Was the whole thing AI?
So, the studio has previously worked on Marvel projects such as Miss Marvel, Loki, and more. Cillian believes that the usage of technology fit the show's vibe. When he reached out to the AI vendors that was part of it, it just came right out of the shape-shifting scroll world identity, So it looks like the usage of AI technology in films and TV has been where I thought they said where it was.
It's in the opening credits.
Yeah, it's in the opening
The opening
credits.
credits has a bunch of AI on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's causing the stir.
Yes. So yeah, so that's the trailer, but yeah. So their intro for the Secret Invasion is AI, not that
That's
the trailer
probably
that we
that-
just watched is
That video you just passed.
probably. Here it is. Yes, this is the video I want. Thanks. Boomer and again. Sorry guys.
That's all right.
Exactly.
That's the AI there.
Yeah, the thing is like I don't know.
We're gonna watch this.
I don't
on
want to
Twitter.
say I don't want to say like the community of artists is getting exactly
This is all
what they
AI.
deserve. But yeah, dude, like those companies don't owe us anything.
Yep.
But on that same token, we don't owe anything to them. We should be doing our own stuff.
Yep. This
Oh, I
trailer's all
want
AI.
to buy your IP.
Or
Yeah.
this intro.
$11,000 million. We have to become like that.
That's just
Starve
gross.
them. Yeah, this is gross, man.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people going after Disney and Marvel for doing this. They're very upset. They're very angry.
That's just so lazy. Like,
Yep.
even as for like,
Well, it's not like the company has a lot of money that they can throw around at the moment.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get by as cheap as possible, and AI is as cheap as it gets.
So it's bottom dollar is what it's coming down to.
That's
It's coming
exactly
down to
it. Yep.
it's coming down to industry. They people want to talk about they want to talk about community only when it's convenient.
To them.
But trust me, when the dollar is at stake, there is no community. There is no community. People are not concerned or even
Phased.
phase. Thank you, phase. That's the word I was looking for. By your outcries and your anger. And when the artist community said, "Look, you know how we feel about this," and as a company that was built on the back of artists and writers and producers and animators, for you to use AI is incredibly insulting. And they don't care.
Okay, like that's the thing, Luke. That's irrelevant to them. That's completely irrelevant to them. And shame on us for believing it was. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Shame on us as individuals, as artists, as people who are creative, that give something that people value and entertain. The books, Secret Invasion is an awesome run in the books.
Yeah.
And they're completely squandering it with this like cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, nobody was there to say, like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't go that corporate. Maybe we should try to do it a harder way, not wait for somebody to just dump money on us, so they can like realize, and then you have no control over your product, the thing that came out of your mind. We put ourselves in that position as artists, and now we're paying the price. This is the price we pay. They can do whatever they want. It looks like garbage. They don't care about the people who came before and did it. They don't care about the people who are making it now. And this situation was made by what we as artists allowed to happen. So shame on us forever. And we're gonna get. I hope Marvel does everything in AI, even the show itself. Like, just screw that.
Well, I think I think they've hired a few people.
Yeah.
I think they've hired a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Well, there's a bad taste in my mouth.
yeah. I mean,
This was done months ago. This was done before the strike happened.
Yeah. This was premeditated.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
all right, Rainy, let's talk about Community.
Well, the thing with Disney now is they're in panic mode because they've watched their stock drop tremendously over the last couple of weeks, and they're getting rid of what they think is a lot of the chaff. But there's all of these decisions these big companies take a year and a half in order to really turn. So you're going to see a lot more of this stuff before it gets better. Marvel's, Indy 5. They're all going to do really crappy business because they are really crappy pieces of work. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take them years to rebound. And it's going to be a slow and a very painful process for them. There's already rumors flying that they're going to be garage sailing out the majority of their properties and IPs. They owe Universal billions of dollars for a buyback they have to do on Hulu, and there's anything they throw in the theaters right now is doing nothing, and they're scared to death. So they're making a lot of panic moves. They just got rid of their second in command. They got rid of their diversity and inclusion officer, which should have happened when the initial the video that they did went viral, where they were talking about how they were going to be promoting the gay agenda above everything else. But that's neither here nor there. They're in trouble, and they're going to be in trouble for many years to come. Yeah. Yep. Their parks are failing. They're talking about selling out the parks overseas, just getting rid of them, just dump, or selling out rights here and there. They've had tender offers. They said some Saudi prince has come in and offered billions of dollars for Lucasfilm just to get it out of the hands of Disney right now, because this guy grew up loving Star Wars. He doesn't love it now. So if he can throw like $8 billion at it and buy it, he'll do it. So it's pretty crazy.
I find interesting about them losing money. With Canada's I think Bill C-11 and stuff like that, they're going to be required to make a bunch of Canadian content as well to keep their streaming servers up in Canada. Mm-hmm. So like I don't even think Disney has ever made Canadian content of any kind. If I can think about it.
Call of the Wild.
Okay,
That's the thing. Like the Canadian law is very, very.
Gonna see a lot of mounted police stories coming up real fast.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Canadian law, like I studied like animation in Canada, so I know like Canadian law is very strict with broadcasting. Like you need Canadian content in every medium.
A lot of countries are though. They demand a certain amount because the American, for a while there, the American entertainment industry was just mowing down everybody. Now they're having a hard time making money because they're so worried about their SCG scores.
Yeah, ESG,
ESG,
well,
whatever.
Similar with like the BBC and other places as well, but like
their diversity scores. Yeah. The Stan Lee documentary, I haven't seen it, but I can imagine what it does and what it says because of Disney's worship and the MCU's use of Stan Lee, which I'm not begrudging the use of him. I'm saddened now that we're in an age of AI that they're still not putting him in all of those movies because it's obvious their movies started tanking as soon as he passed. So he was probably their good luck charm that they have screwed now. So they need to put a Stan in there in every show just to try to give themselves some sort of luck.
So a lot of it is narrated by Stan. Okay, and so it's from Stan's perspective.
There's a lot of footage of Stan, but there's not a lot of footage of these other guys, and Ditko especially. There's photos of Ditko are incredibly rare. Yeah. You have 2 or 3, maybe a half a dozen actual photos of Steve Ditko. Kirby's on tape a couple times. Glenn's got a great video out where he went and talked to him, put it on film. That's why his CD is so important historically. But Lee was the showman. He was the guy at the carnival. He was the carnival barker at the front of the tent telling people to come on in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Excelsior.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you want to bash Stan Lee for things he did or not, that guy, I didn't know the guy, but his position as a guy who was the driver of comics for a long time is undeniable. He was always on the forefront going, hey, have you seen comics? Hey, kids, comics. Like, that was him. Nobody else did that.
And we discussed this off camera before. He had nobody that was doing that back in the 60s. Nobody that was associated with Marvel realized that there was merchandising in it. Kirby did. Kirby said this stuff's all going to be worth billions someday, but Kirby had the foresight to understand what the possibilities were with the art form in the market. Lee was just promoting, trying to sell, and he ended up at Marvel because he's the nephew of the publisher. Martin Goodman is his uncle. Well, he got the job back in the 50s out of default because he was an easy, cheap employee. That's why he was up there in the position he was in when he started the actual Marvel comics.
This is what makes Stan so great. Listen, so while these guys that he was collaborating with, and they were collaborative efforts, they weren't just putting pencil to paper. You know, these were collaborative efforts. While they were busy making the books, he was out selling them.
Yeah,
but he wasn't just. Pardon me. He understood that in order to sell those books, it wasn't just a matter of being a carnival barker, but he had to create an entire, here is the right use of the word community of fans that connected with those stories in the books they were making. With Stan's soapbox and the different things that they would put into the comics to generate that every week, every month coming back, that wanting to know what happens, that having something to connect over. That is something that we miss. And what happens is, especially with indie comics, is now we have a community of fans, right? That are now trying to move into the industry of comics.
Well, we're getting into a little newspeak ground here. If anybody's read 1984, they know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Where they're taking key terms and they're bending the definition in order to fit their whim. Stan started fandom.
Yeah.
He didn't start community.
Yeah, he started fandom, yeah.
He was out there to sell comics. He started fandom. Nowadays, in independent comics, the word community that they throw around so liberally is actually a code word for crab bucket.
Bingo.
That's what it is. It's a crab. Everybody in their community, in their crab bucket, are all fighting amongst themselves. All you got to do is go up to Twitter to see that somebody tried to cancel me today. Oh no. And all of this crap, instead of actually sitting there and being an industry and doing the work.
How do we connect better with our fans? How do we make better product? How do we focus more on story?
Well,
How do
we stop being a crab bucket? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
We start being an industry and start actually helping people or talking about this stuff in a positive light, instead of going around with a stupid hashtag that says comics broke me. Holy crap. It's the industry that broke you. It's the crab bucket that's in that you're in.
It's
that
a bad
broke
business model.
It's not comics that broke you.
It's hanging all day at Twitter that broke you instead of working.
It really irritates me the bad use of the newspeak, these definitions that people want to throw around, want to sound like they're chummy when really they're not. They're backstabbing crabs. They're angry trolls out there jealous of other people's accomplishments or the fact that they did the work and you think you deserve the credit. Back when Stan was out promoting himself, he was pushing an industry. It's the world outside your window.
Yeah,
That's
and
what he used
not
to
only
like to
not only
promote.
was Stan like promoting comic books, he was promoting the lifestyle. He was promoting the habit of reading comics.
Really, seriously, he was just trying to attract readers.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was out there doing college tours because he found out that a lot of the kids in the college, because comics grew up, and he wasn't the key person to grow up comics. If you go back and look at it, he used that and added soap opera elements into the superhero genre in order to grow that up. But again, it was a writing hook. It was a way of getting more readers. Comics actually grew up in the 50s, and they were literally castrated by the Comic Code Authority. The Charles Burrow, who did Crime Does Not Pay, MC Gaines, Bill Gaines, sorry, I get the two mixed up. One's the dad, one's the son. The son, Bill Gaines, decided he wanted to start publishing comics he wanted to read. So EC became the powerhouse that it had become. They got slammed off of the book racks because everybody else wanted to dumb down comics, and they used the excuse for juvenile delinquency or the fact that everybody was swearing comics was eroding the minds of the youth in order to promote their ruling the comic rack. All of those comic racks were regulated to certain spaces per month. You only got so much space. That's why a lot of the Marvel books, when Stan first started out, all of those books were bi-monthly for a reason, because he couldn't print any more than that. He wasn't allowed to. But books with crime or horror or terror that were in the titles, anything that had an adult look to it, were all kicked off of this rack. That's why you saw Bill try to start magazines. He did Shock Suspense Stories and a few other magazines, and he ended up settling down on Mad, which was a comedy parody magazine, and he ended up making his riches off of that. And Warren Magazine's publication started up because of that. There was a whole run of black and white magazines that ran well into the 80s. That was some phenomenal work that nobody wants to talk about or look at anymore. We do sometimes on Comics by Night, but that's the whole thing. But the rack fandom started. Fandom grew the direct market. The direct market started putting things in flat racks. Some of the businesses were already selling their comics on flat racks. We used to be at a bodega. They had an entire wall of comics. We've got those pictures. You see them up on Facebook all the time of this incredible wall of 40s and 50s comics. Every type of title, every genre, everything that you can imagine. The rack, the Comic Code Authority, ended up narrowing things down to basically funny animals and maybe romance comics and a couple of humor books and the basic superhero books. And then that grew out from there. When Stan came in, he added those soap opera elements, having the family unit and having a family unit as a superhero base started the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four, yeah.
Having a young teen have teen problems as a superhero, started Spider-Man being outcasts from the world, which most comic readers were, really spawned the X-Men. And that really didn't sell until the 70s when, they changed when the group actually became diverse. X-Men didn't sell at all. In fact, they were having, it was starting to build back up in the reprints that they were doing, because people were recognizing how good the property was, and that the kids were outcasts, and all of the adults, people were growing up reading comics. They associated more with X-Men after a while than they did the Avengers. So they kicked out a new X-Men team, and that's why it became the powerhouse phenomenon that it became.
Yeah.
But Stan was really there to add the soap opera elements. And the way the Marvel way always worked is it was a phone call or a quick note, or somebody dropped into the office. Hey, so-and-so, you're doing this issue of such and such a character. Stan would go, what do you want to draw? And 9 times out of 10, the guy who drew the book came up with the basic plot for the book, drew up the pencils, and sent it to Stan. Stan sat there, usually at night after work, with a legal pad, and he would write out the script, what everybody said in the balloons, and he would send that off to the letterer, who would then send, once it was lettered, would send it to the inker. But 9 times, this is why you go through those early Marvel comics, and you'll see eventually these guys start getting a little bit of credit, because they were going, hey, I'm creating these characters. Lee had practically nothing to do with like Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. That's all Ditko. Lee had practically nothing to do with all of the characters that walked into the Fantastic Four. That was Kirby going, hey, this issue, I want the FF to meet God. What do you think about that? Well, before he meets God, he needs to meet a herald. So what am I going to draw? Well, I'm going to draw Oscar on a surfboard. How do you like that? Because that's the way Kirby's mind works. And he's full of imagination, like, one of the rarest, most imaginative people that were probably on the planet. Right place, right time, right situation. Crazy characters. And all Lee did was basically put words into everybody's mouth. And in the long run, he ended up controlling the plot because he was doing that. That's what really ticked Ditko off, was because Ditko was trying to put in a little bit of his philosophy into Spider-Man, and Lee would come around and write it completely opposite for what Ditko intended. And that and the fact that Ditko found out that there was actually residuals being paid for the Spider-Man cartoon show made him walk, because he wasn't getting any of that money.
Ouch.
So when Kirby gets a chance to leave, he goes over to DC, creates his own characters. And that's all the Fourth World product. But they did that because they saw what had happened. Stan went out and promoted himself as a carnival barker, went around, did a whole college tour, started doing big publicity pushes in major magazines because these books were getting attention. And he was standing there thumping his chest going, that's right, I created everything. I did it all. I'm Stan the man. And now too many people have that impression instead of actually looking, because nobody kept track of comics history. Nobody knew this stuff was going to be important, or very few people did anyway. Nobody kept notes on who did what created who, or who did, whatever. Comics history is really fascinating because the majority of the time, the outside, what shall we say, normies' perception of the business is completely different from the way it actually worked. You had
It's
these
certainly
guys,
not a community.
you had these, they tried to be a well-oiled machine as much as possible. And most of the time for the creative people, that oil turned out to be alcohol.
In many cases, it is a cutthroat industry.
It was.
In
It
fact,
always was a cutthroat industry. Yes.
Robert Seth Goodyear says, did you notice they didn't credit Mark Waid on the Flash movie? They also didn't credit Ethan Van Sciver.
No.
They didn't credit Bill Loebs either.
They didn't credit Bill Loebs.
And Bill had a huge run, and there's a lot of those elements that they used in Flash that he came in after Mike Barron's run.
Yep.
And amplified.
Mike did get a credit.
Mike did get a credit, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But he should have, because he's the one that came up with the fact that the Flash burns energy.
Yeah. So
And that he always needed to be eating, and apparently that's a big thing in the film. So
I think the moral of this story is that not everybody gets credit. Credit's not always given where it's due. Yeah. And there's a lot more credit that should be doled out than what comics history is than what history is.
And even
doing.
people that have been in the industry get the history wrong. There's nothing more embarrassing than watching this AMC series of that they did on comics history that Kevin Smith was associated with.
I saw that.
Because 3/4 of that is wrong.
Yeah,
and it's
like,
all
that's
built
not how it
on
worked.
everybody's preconceived notion as to how this business ran, because that's what they were told, instead of actually going out, interviewing people, and getting to the bare bones truth. And there are a lot of folks who want to learn comics history. There are a lot of boards over on Facebook that have, and that's where the older guys hang out. Absolutely. That have this history down and have done the research, have written the articles, and have a firm grasp of what comics history is all about. That's where you're going to learn. You're not going to learn that from a documentary special idolizing Stan Lee. That's not where you're going to learn. You're going to get a lot of propaganda there, but you're not going to learn real comics history.
All right. So we're speaking of community. I had we were talking about the current state of indie comics. And I responded to someone and saying that creator-owned comics flourished because it broke out of kind of this structure of the mainstream and basically left that and created its own infrastructure. And then the people that were in that, I said, the locals there moved over, and the same infestation that was in that structure became in this one, right? And so someone obviously here, they're asking a question that I think they kind of misunderstood what I was thinking, because in their mind, they're thinking community. Okay. They're thinking this is Comicsgate, not Comicsgate. This is these kind of people, those kind of people. They're thinking people.
Yeah.
We have to stop thinking people. One of the people here in our chat, one of the actual people here in our chat just said it, that there are cliques. There's pockets of actual communities of people that kind of cohabit and exist together within a larger industry. And so my response,
and again, that's a misused term, because they're not really communities. They're crab buckets. They're a group of associates who want to tear each other down.
But not all of them are, Randy.
No, some of them are industry that are out there talking and trading pro tips and talking about what's working the best, what sequential art you want to do, that kind of thing. But when they're talking in it's independent market,
I have a community.
The community.
You're part of my community.
Yeah.
We work together. We build together. We improve our little section of the industry.
We're more of an association and a friendship than a community, though.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's the thing.
But isn't that what a community is? Associations
No, a
and
community
friendships.
is out there telling you how high you can grow your hedges. And if you grow them 2 feet
No,
higher,
that's
you
an
have to trim
HOA.
them down.
That's an HOA, yeah.
No, that's an
It's the same
HOA. That's
thing.
not a
It's the
community.
same
No, it's
thing.
not. No, it's
just
not.
It's just a newspeak term for the exact
Look,
same thing that's in this independent market.
I'm kind of in Randy's boat here, because the way people use community nowadays is not like friends hanging out or whatever, associates. And it is a community that excludes people. And Randy's actually right on the money here with the newspeak term. I mean,
look,
the way he's referring to
I don't care about newspeak, guys. Listen to me. An actual community, a ding-dang community, is people that live in the same neighborhood. And they work in that neighborhood to either make it better or to make it worse. They're in that neighborhood together. What I'm talking about in terms of community, an actual community, are people that they're in the same neighborhood together, and they work together for a common goal, a common good. That is what a community is. No, what we do here is not. Now, we have pockets of community, people that work in the same publisher or the same little section that they're trying to improve their lives together. They're trying to raise their property value, so to speak. But the majority of what you get out there, it's a business. It's a mother effing business. And we have to stop thinking of it. Now, there is community, and stop with the newspeak and the this and the that. It's semantics. It's effing semantics. I hate the semantics of it all.
It's a bad definition of the term that people throw around way too much, in too many wrong places.
Exactly. Because the problem is, what do we define community as? A community is a group of people that live in the same area that work for the betterment of their situation. All of my neighbors here, we're in a community. That's it. We're in a community. Whether we like each other or not, we have to work for either the betterment or the detriment of each other. That's what we have to do. Those are communities. This is an industry. What you do with your business, what X does with his business over there, what Y does with his business over there, has no effect on me whatsoever in my business. But what the people that are in my circle do, that are attached to my business, they most certainly affect what I do. And we throw this term community around so loosely and so lightly. And so I had to clarify for this person. Their question was, would this infestation be allowed on Fund My Comic? Like, they think the infestation I'm talking about are people. Look, you can have a person that gets it right today and gets it wrong tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. There are people that get stuck in ruts and can't think about the future. They lose future thought and insight on anything. They don't get it. So I'm like, no, it's not the infestation. So I'm like, the infestation is the same business practices. What we're seeing happen within the independent comic book industry that had this freedom, we broke free from following any formula or any business model that was created by Stan and Jack. We broke free from that. They had to work under this regime of you do for the publisher, your contracts are crap. Mm-hmm. Stan fought for every bit of credit that he got because he knew if he didn't, he wasn't going to get any. And did he take more than his due? Yes, he did. But there's a lot of people out there that take more than their due. But that was the regime that they were in, and we see that has become a crab bucket where everybody's clamoring. And we talked about Blake earlier today, where she kind of broke ties from a community, quote unquote community, wrong use of the term, to better her financial situation and her career. That is entirely understandable when you see that it is a business. But the problem is the fandom thinks of the word, we use the word community like we do in a neighborhood, because that is what community is. So the default definition of community comes into mind when we start thinking about this stuff. And that's why I get so upset when we start talking about semantics. Like, what's this mean? Or what's that word mean? When we think of the word community, we think of people sitting, we think of people sitting in a neighborhood. In the evening when they're walking their dog, they're saying, hi, how are you doing? They have block parties together. Yeah. They create HOAs so that their property values go up. They're thinking about keeping their neighborhoods and their families safe. A community is very personal. It's very intimate in that sense. These are people you're going to be with for probably the rest of your life, unless someone moves. And when someone moves out of the community, and it hurts. It hurts. But that's the problem, because we use this word community in our minds, and our mind conjures up the hedges and the sidewalks and the dogs and the block parties and the friendships and the late night card games and the picnics. That's what our mind conjures up. But this is not that. This is a business. This is a fandom.
Yeah.
And it's that use. And here's why there's the double speak. Because there are grifters and crabs out there that want to use the word community because of what it conjures in our minds.
Okay.
They use that word because of what it conjures in our minds so that they can exploit your emotional response. It's the worst kind of sales pitch. It is the worst kind of business practice. It is despicable. Mm-hmm. There was a guy who went on YouTube. He went on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in order to disown himself from a community, he talked about how much he helped the community of indie comics. And he talked about that. And he's like, I would never talk bad about anyone. And then he called me out by name, talked bad about me. And he's like, oh, well, and then he got sick. I would never talk bad about him. And then he talked bad about me some more, right? All for the sake of using this term community with these deep pleas of how much he just loves comics and everyone in it. And how you know what? I get so fed up with that crap. Because it's not community, it's a business. And he is trying his best to pull on people's heartstrings to make himself look great so that people don't fire him. That's what canceling is. It's getting fired from the customer.
That's torturous interference. That's what they pulled.
Well, it is, yeah.
So, yeah.
But really, like, what is a cancellation? It's customers saying no more.
Well, if your publisher insists on who you can and cannot associate with, that's not a community.
That's not a community.
That's
a hate group. That's a hate group.
That goes back to Germany.
Yeah.
And where are you, the community? Are you going to push people out and make people live in their own ghettos or their own neighborhoods? You're going to be a separatist like that. That's not a community. That's a hate group. In true definition.
It is. Yeah, Pastor Luke's back.
Yeah.
I had to take my soapbox I had to take the pulpit for a second.
No, I understand what you're saying, and we're really splitting hairs, and it shouldn't.
We are.
We don't need to.
No,
but I'm
no,
just
no.
saying that you're saying, I agree with you 100%. Some people throw that word community around in all the wrong ways.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to define it. So what we're defining right now, this is not community. This is business. This is business. There are friendships that are developed in business. There are aspects of that are similar to what you would have in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say, well, I have a little community of friends that I hang out with. You're in my community of friends. Pedro's in my community of friends. But Pedro's business doesn't have any effect on my business.
Well, in order to, I don't know if we should even continue with this example, because quite frankly, it's not worth it. But I was going to say, in order to endear himself to the community, he had to go out and show he was part of a hate group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And claim some other faction was a hate group.
Right.
I don't know.
And
I
it's,
wish we should take back the word hate. Because hate is not violence. It's just extreme dislike. That's not dangerous. It's just like, I don't like it. We should, because they really find the word hate as violent. You get violent against things you hate, but just because you hate it doesn't mean you're going to get violent. You know what I mean? They just equate both. And
I'm of the firm belief that all prejudice stems from a lack of education.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now, I believe that you should, if you have the ability to help people, let me say this, okay? Because now that we can just define that, if we're using the word community, we really need to be talking about industry. Mm-hmm. We're a group of people in an industry. We're trying to make money. We're selling books. We're telling stories. Just like Stan, just like Jack, they created a fandom. We're a fandom, is what we are. And one of the things that we must understand is that when dollars are involved, you're going to have enemies.
Yep.
You're going to make enemies. Every fight in the quote-unquote community, there's dollars behind that somewhere.
It's a lot of prejudice, stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
not only that, Luke. The thing is like when money's involved, the veil falls.
Right.
Oh yeah.
The whole community thing, it's a facade. It's like, oh, come check me out. I'm so cool. I'm not gonna hurt you. Dollar bill. Yep. So
yeah.
Why play that game?
Why was Gamergate such a big deal? Mm-hmm. Because it took money away from people that were making it and gave it to someone else. And they got upset. So what do? You start to play on people's heartstrings. You start to play to their sensibilities and their sense of morality. Well, they're a hate group. They're bigots. They're this. they're that. You start to paint things in a certain way. But if you really cared about the community, you wouldn't have lied to them in the first place. The whole thing, the reason why Gamergate started was because studios were paying these reviewers to give positive and favorable reviews for games that were garbage.
Yep.
Marvel and DC still do the same thing.
They still do the same thing. What do you think ICV2 is?
Yeah.
It's propaganda in many cases, and we use it because it's the accepted propaganda in the industry.
And at least ICV2 has enough ethics to point out when there's a sponsored article.
Yeah, whereas in CBR does not.
Yeah.
They don't have those kind of ethics because those are people that are in that part of the industry that will do anything for $1. Pedro talked about the ladies that will do anything for $1.
Yeah, exactly.
My gosh.
I mean, it's a part of reality.
It's sad. It's sad that is the case.
Yeah. But it doesn't make it any less true. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Glenn in the chat was pointing out that it had nothing to do with education. It had a lot to do with keeping the main populace uneducated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, aren't we allowed to dislike stuff? That's something that really, like, it doesn't really irk me, but it just makes me raise questions. Like, you're supposed to like everything?
Let's buy what Glenn said. I mean, let's explore what he said.
Yeah.
It was to keep the basic populace.
Keep control.
Hmm?
To have
Under control. Yeah. To have control. It was a control device.
So why do they misuse?
They
the
needed
term
somebody
community?
to hate in order to have control, and the people just blindly followed the hate.
They did, and they still do. They still do. So that is in a political realm, but we see this in business all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, you got to hate the conservatives, or we even see in conservative media, you've got to hate the liberals. I don't know how Jack or Stan voted. And I don't really care how either one of them voted.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to know that.
No. We're just
When
here to
did
be-
yeah?
Yes.
When did we start creating purity tests for our fans?
Mhm.
Have you noticed that?
Or for the people working in the industry.
Yeah. There's nothing community about that.
No.
It's a business. And so when you are in a business, you have to take certain chances. You have to make certain moves. And Blake made a move. She decided to separate herself from one association. And I think it's paid off for her.
Yeah.
I think it's paid off.
Monetarily.
Monetarily, yes. Creatively, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I don't know what her
Respectfully.
experience is. Not as much.
Not as much.
Right? Not as much. But there are people, like right now, this past week, there's been some infighting in our community. In our side of the industry, there's been some infighting. There's been a lot of infighting in comics, the overall industry, whether it be mainstream or indie or even the subsects of the independents. And it comes down, I think, to dollars. There are people that stand to make a lot of money, or even a little bit of money, and it gets money gets in the way of making the right decision sometimes. Money is not the end all be all of what we're doing this business for. In my opinion.
For some, they're still chasing after that Netflix deal.
Yeah.
They're still chasing after that brass ring. They're looking at Turtles as being the end all, or the Millar verse as being the end all goal for what they want to do with themselves, and that's not the way to be thinking. Turtles was a phenomenon, right place, right time, right thing, right people. Millarverse, in my opinion, was just luck. Just solid luck and good agenting.
Yeah. I mean, and having a solid product. Like,
It'd
No.
definitely be better to have
No.
books over.
No.
I mean, he sold it. Like, I don't know.
He sold it. Yes, good agent.
I enjoyed Kick-Ass, for example, like
Yeah.
for what it was.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know.
they made okay movies. They sold tickets. That's cool. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to belittle what he's done. It's just that, from my viewpoint, there's not a whole lot of original there. There's
Fair
a lot
point.
of good
Yeah.
agenting.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
lot
fair
of good
point.
movement of pieces that were already there.
Yeah,
And I
that's a
haven't
fair
read
point.
anything.
Yeah,
I have to say I haven't read anything that he's really done that isn't just
Derivative?
derivative of other stuff that was better.
yeah, that's a fair point.
That's my opinion, though.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I mean, the storytelling is good. Like I'm gonna say, like, I don't know.
He sold tickets. People were
yeah, sold
entertained.
tickets.
That's
People
great.
were entertained. So yeah,
Yep.
that's more than competent storytelling.
It's like Russell Crowe. Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I-
come back
I,
to seats, but sorry. Yeah.
So, being a musician in the 90s and 2000s, there were people that was like, oh man, they sold out. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so-
yeah, they
so
sold
now-
out, right? It's like, well, their art doesn't mean anything to them anymore. Yeah, at some point, people do trade principles for food.
Yeah.
Well, there's a classic story about David Bowie and how he woke up one day after doing numerous albums, getting notoriety to an extent, decided he was going to do one. He was going to do an album and just
Yeah.
make a ton of money, do dance music, make a ton of money. And that's what he did.
And
And
then it kept
everybody
doing it.
said
When
that he
somebody-
sold out. And
when
he says,
somebody comes, yeah.
but I'm
Go ahead,
rich,
go ahead, Randy.
Right,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean,
And then he
didn't
went back
Kiss
to making
do a
art
disco album?
Dude, I don't know. Like
Didn't
whenever, like I'm a
do a
musician
disco
too.
album?
Let's dance.
Yeah, like whenever somebody comes with that, like he
And it's-
sold out comment,
And it's
he always asks me
amazing.
to pay for a beer.
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing too because he understood the market.
Mm-hmm.
He saw what sold in the market. He did what sold in the market, and he made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But you can say that he sold out or not. He paid for all of the other albums that he did after that,
Yeah, exactly.
that were very experimental and
Yeah,
very
Thin
cutting edge
Machine,
music.
Thin Machine has
What's
very
that movie?
weird albums.
There's a movie where I think it's Denzel Washington. He's got a son, and his son needs like a kidney transplant or something like that, or a heart transplant or something. And then at the end, he holds a building hostage or whatever to
Yeah.
get him on
yeah.
the top of the
Remember
list,
that
whatever
movie.
that movie's called. But at the in the movie, he's like telling his son like, you make money, even if you have to sell out, you got to make money, right? So
Gotta have
it's
money.
understandable. You got to have money.
Problem is
Money-
people are
money-
allergic. I think these people are allergic to money. They do everything to try not to make it, and that's what creates the crab bucket mentality. Because people are hungry.
Yeah.
People are hungry. But they think there's only X amount of dollars to go around. I think that Eric July is proving that there's more money to go around than what we realize.
Yeah, if you focus on the right thing, that is.
Yes, if you focus on the right thing. I don't think he's going to make as much money on his second book. I think he's going to make a little over half of what he did
That looks
on
like
the first
enough.
one. But because there's some people that, the story didn't appeal to him.
It sure looks like he's building a foundation and working towards a better Ripaverse future in the long
Yeah.
run.
Exactly.
And that needs to be looked at and applauded and probably studied to see how that works for you.
Right. So if we stop thinking of this as a community and take everything so personal, because that's why people get upset, because they take it personal, like we're neighbors.
We're also in an art form.
Yeah, we're in an art form.
And being an art form, you're going to have passionate people.
Very passionate
Oh, yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people that are probably also dealing with mental and emotional issues.
But with
Well,
fashion,
that's-
yeah,
it goes with
with-
territory.
The industry,
yeah, with things of fashion, we need a friend or hire somebody to smack us behind the head when we go too far.
Bam. Yeah.
Yeah, that's needed. That's needed because sometimes you can go like, but this is hard. I don't want to. Okay, shut up, dude. Because you have a cupboard full of cup of ramen. Just make some money, and it's not becoming like a millionaire, but have
Right.
enough resources that you don't have to, worry about that for you to make art. That should be the goal.
So we have so many people that move from the fandom into the industry. And we get a lot of questions from those people. A lot of those people sit on this panel. a lot of those people, you know, from time to time, and a lot of those people are in our chat on a regular basis. So it is great to build your business model on your principles. Obviously, that's what I do.
Yeah.
But then there's also moments where you need to take calculated risk in business and knowing what to do. Last week, we mentioned Randy had an offer from Marvel, but it was for $9,000 a year.
It was an internship. Yeah.
Ouch.
An internship for $9,000 a year. He would have to move to New York, one of the highest cost of living places ever. And he laughed it off and said, no, thank you.
No, I laughed in the guy's face. Just literally.
I was
said,
saying
you
nice.
have got to be kidding me. No.
I was trying to be nice.
Okay. Well, he's since passed, and
Yeah.
he ain't hurting about it anymore.
It's uncouth.
R.I.P. Sid Jacobson. You know.
Yeah. So,
But even still, it was an offer. It was an offer that I had just printed Tales from the Anniversary 1 at that point. Had an independent book out, and knew how much money I was making at that point off of that book, and we made a living off of Tales from the Stupid Us. We decided we knew better than what was happening, but we'd have still been caught in the retailer black and white bust. But at that point, I just looked at, I was going through a divorce. I looked at him like, no. And just laughed. And yeah, I could see the doors close right there. Boom. So
Jason Black says, talking comics.
And
there are 8 billion people on the planet now.
Yeah.
Most of them like stories with pictures. And thanks to Western systems of commerce, the majority can afford $5 for something they want now. They really can. So that we have to figure out.
It's just getting it to the masses. We're suffering from the
logistics.
From the logistics of the direct market. That's the problem. We need to get out to the people.
Right.
That's what we need, and convince them that we are accessibly good entertainment.
Yeah. So that was the infestation that I was talking about.
It's funny that we have to be accessible, affordable, and safe for children. Like, we're not going to indoctrinate anybody, and there are no.
We don't see that brings up that brings up the concept or the mindset of all ages, and that's not really what we should do. The fact that we need to be accessible is the thing. We need to be doing all sorts of comics for all sorts of audiences and have those in as many different diverse places as we possibly can. That's what's going to save this art form. That's what's going to make a bigger industry.
And not just safe, like in that regards either, but also like trustworthy is in the regards that, you know, people are using these websites and these platforms that we're developing, or Luke is developing, obviously.
That's something I learned when I did my little local paper here for 10 years, is that people want to read this stuff. People want to be entertained. Once they find out you're there, once they find out you're accessible and that you are entertaining, they will keep coming back.
Consistency.
If Finatra was with us a couple of weeks ago and he said, we don't need to chase that market. And I said, no, we're not chasing that market. We're making ourselves accessible. Yes. We don't have to adapt what we're making for them to like it. They already want it. Yeah. Like they will like what we're making. We just have to get it in front of them. And to kind of bookmark what I was really saying in that statement was, we could easily trade innovation for the way we did things in the old land, which would only create for ourselves a new prison identical to the old one. Yeah. It's up to us all to challenge those boundaries and not just accept that these are the safe areas that we're allowed to play in. One of the things that we keep running into is when we discuss distribution, we always think about the diamond model because that's what we've known, right?
That's all we've
known.
It's
all we've known. And
it's
and it's wrong. Incredibly limiting, isn't it?
Yep. It was a faulty system to start with, and we need to create new ones.
That ran on Windows 98.
That's why crowdfunding was such a boom.
Yeah. So in 2020, Randy, you were there when I did this. You were a part of my circle at that point, more on the periphery than in the center like you are now. But you might remember when I'd been having some bad business dealings with that individual that we were referring to earlier. Let's just call him
You
Travis.
don't have to call him anything. Just keep going.
Let's just make up a name and call him Travis. So we were having a really rough time. I was having a really rough time kind of in that model, seeing that it was basically just more crab bucket mentality. And that I was never going to, as an artist, elevate beyond just being someone's whipping boy, so to speak. And you took a look at my contract, and there was a thing in my contract for $25 a page plus 33% of the profits. And we were getting ready to go. You took a look at that as an advisor at that time. I'd already signed it. I was naive. I had no idea what I was doing because I was in the world of ministry. That's where I was.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't worked in the industry here. I had heard the word community, and everyone made me feel like I was part of a community. And this person was like, "Oh, I just want to help you out because you're part of the community." And I felt like there was this camaraderie, and they said, "Oh, well, I'm a pastor too." And that turned out to be a lie. And, I'm a this or whatever. And I just felt like I was, like, this was a good deal. I was led to believe that this is how things worked in our community. And you looked over that because I was feeling a little, I was feeling a little upset by the end of the first campaign because I wound up doing, I think, 6 covers, and I got no money for those covers. So I worked basically for free to help promote the book because I was going to make 33% of the profit on top of my $25 a page, which the writer also made that as well. So I made the same amount as the writer. Time investment, 3 times as much time investment, easily, for the artist. And the burden of all this art, and it was like, get it done. I need it now. I need it now. So I would have to drop everything to get these covers done, and I didn't see any money for it. And at the end of the campaign, there was decisions made for the marketing that I didn't know about that wound up leaving that campaign with no extra money. Like, maybe a couple bucks. And I was feeling pretty upset by it. And then just the general treatment that I was getting from him, we would go to shows, and just the total disregard for, like, the little jabs and disrespects were just too much for me. And you looked at that contract and you said, "Luke, you're being ripped off. He saw you coming. He saw a sucker. And he's never going to have extra money." Like,
No.
you're never going to make more than that $25 a page, because you pointed out that in that contract, 33% went to his business. So he's like, most likely, and you and someone else was like, most likely he's paying himself also out of that business. That's money he has access to. So the things that he should be investing in personally, like you are, he's not. His business is doing it. So he's pocketing all that money for himself, where that comes from. And then there were deals with stores that were made outside of the campaign that were not accounted for. And so there were kind of a lot of things that was upsetting. And I talked with you. I talked with a guy named Anthony Figueroa. And I was already people were talking that, "Luke, you're on the edge of this Comicsgate thing." We just kind of assumed that you were. A lot of Christian conservatives are over there. They kind of share the same values. And I'd been adjacent, and I was learning more and more about the people that were over there. And it turns out about 60% of my customer base was there. And this partner said that, kind of mentioned in a roundabout about let's just call it a purity test for our fans. Well, we don't really want those kind of fans, right? Well, I do, because they're literally paying for my project.
Which is odd, because the money is green.
The money is green, and I don't care about. I don't really care who gets. I don't care who you vote for.
Yeah.
I care that you buy my book.
Yeah.
And that you're into what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I even have joked and I've said, look, a burnt book is a bought book, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole situation, like I got a crash course understanding that it's an industry, it's not a community. But I was upset because I thought it was a community because of the misuse of that word, because of taking something that's supposed to mean something positive and applying it to something else that can be positive. But when you say that something is a business, you understand going in, you have a different mental picture of what this is when you think of an industry. You understand it's business, it's dollars.
And it's ironically humorous that you announce you were CG and the book has a big sales bump.
Yeah, which is what happened.
And he still resents CG to this day.
Yeah. Well, then what happened
Instead of
was...
understanding that money is green, readers are readers. It doesn't matter how they voted, how their bedroom the theatrics are, or any of that.
It doesn't matter.
A sale is a sale. A reader is a reader. And if you've entertained them, a business is a business. Right. And if you've entertained them, they're going to come back for more.
So I sat down with my business partners that we were running a publishing company with at the time. Mm-hmm. And I told them, look, I think I'm going to declare this audience because 60% of my audience is there and I want them to know that I'm with them. And I feel like long-term for creativity, it's going to be the best thing to get it out of the way now. Because later on, someone might try to cancel us because I have so many associations over there. So why not just go ahead and say it now? And I felt like it was the right chance, to take a chance on that move. Mm-hmm. It was the right move to do. And he got very upset, but that was right at the end of a campaign. Mm-hmm. And that campaign did get a bump from that.
A bump.
But then what happened was over the course of the next campaign, which happened much later, is he started to systematically pick fights with them on Twitter. He was never on Twitter, but when he was there to pick fights with them and to be disparaging. And when we got into that campaign, I went back to people that had backed us before because that was we had a phone call and he was like, this is going to be on a phone call so that no one could screen cap this and, get me in trouble later for saying this. And I laughed because I was like, that's stupid that people would even do that. But it turns out if you say things like that, it's because you do things like that. So he said on a phone call, he's like, I'm going to market to my people and you market to your people. So that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And he was perfectly fine with me being CG because he saw that there was behind the scenes. He knew that there was money there, right?
Yep.
Well, people started talking that he was working with me and I knew he wanted me off the project. He was belittling me to my family. Like when they would come around, he was saying very negative things to my wife and my daughter. So much so that they were like, you can't keep working with this guy. Like he's terrible. Like they have such a little opinion of what this guy is, who he is, that there's no respect at all for this person. And I started getting messages from people that I was marketing. I would, hey, you want to come back this book? They go, no, I can't do that, man. I'm sorry. I would love to, but have you heard what he said? Did you see what he's doing? Like I'm not going to give money to someone that hates me. They go, I'll back your book. Or once the book is made, I'll buy a copy directly from you so that I can make money. And you know what? That's what happened. We wound up making that book. We did get funded. We funded less than what we did with the previous book. But with my copy, which wasn't that great, by the way, it was not well written, I sold and made back the money that I would have never seen. Because again, a second campaign, just like you said, Randy, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a leftover. And there wasn't a leftover. And it was enough for me. But then I had to make a move. I decide, do I stick with this? Or do I break this contract and walk away from that IP, which could one day be something because of the character I designed was a great character design? Or do I walk away from that? Or, do I stick with it and deal with this crap contract? Or do I sell out, say no more, no, and then go try something else. And at that time, we both made a decision to invest in a distribution deal. Because it sounded good. It didn't sound too good to be true. It sounded good enough just to be true. Didn't it?
Yeah.
And so it sounded good enough to be true. And
well, that also ran on a bunch of friendships that had been grown over the years, and
yeah,
the fact that, you know,
yeah,
too much trust, not enough industry,
community.
Yeah,
right.
Community,
not enough industry.
Again,
we all should have had contracts and should have insisted on it.
You can never know,
so that we could have had something we could have really sued his ass over.
We really did.
You can have like the
live in
nicest people in the world to do business with. You can have like somebody who's completely unscrupulous.
Absolutely.
You know, but
yeah,
they could be really good at business, and they'll never they keep business separated from their personal stuff. It's a mixed bag, and it's always you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
24 Eyes does make a good point here. He says, I think part of the crabs in the bucket come from a time when everyone backed almost everything, and now the market is down and money is tight. So yeah, it does create more. You have to be better. So rather than be better to get those backers, to get those customers, you'd rather purity test and say, well, you can't back them because they're this.
You did a post 5 years ago that mentioned this. You need to be canceled. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. There's not a way to do things.
It's not a way. No, it's not a way to do business. It's not a way to run an industry. Definitely not.
So rather than say, hey, I'm going to do better so that I can find my audience. Mm-hmm. What you try to do is you just start to tear people down and you become a crab in the bucket.
Yeah.
Right. So we're seeing this in the mainstream with people trying to fight over jobs, editors' jobs, writing jobs, art jobs. They're all crabs in the, not all,
right
but
now
a lot.
They're just trying to fight to get a paycheck.
They're trying, right. Story. They're not even getting paid over there.
Yeah.
We're getting paid here. Look, I've never
just
worked
like
for
your contract.
Two.
Just stretch it out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Look, the first and last time I have not worked for $25 a page since I went CG. I don't get paid $25 a page now. I get a pretty solid page rate, and I don't want to say my page rate because it's not fair to say that. Randy knows what I get paid, but typically what I get paid, because sometimes for the project, we work on it, but it's not $25 a page. That is an insult. If someone comes and says, hey, I want you to do line art for $25 a page, I'm like, I'm sorry that I don't get out of. Well, I don't get out of bed for $25 a page.
You are older and wiser.
I am because I learned through it, and you've been a huge help in me learning a lot of that stuff. You're like, hey, look.
Like I said last week, even I get caught doing stupid rookie level mistakes. This last big one, was based on what I thought was a friendship, and I took the guy at his word, and I shouldn't have, because again, we're not a community, we're an industry, and
we have to have a contract.
I said we should have had paper that was concrete enough so that I could have gotten his ass in court.
Have you folks ever seen the movie The Founder? Have you just?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Ray Kroc for the win.
If you're gonna do a business, I highly recommend that movie as a crash, like particularly for first time creators, a crash course in business ethics, right? Because that's what you're going to encounter. You're going to get somebody at some point in your life that is will take a competitor and see a competitor drowning, and then hold the hose in his mouth, right?
Yeah.
So like, you'll encounter everything under the sun. Somebody you trust, somebody you don't trust, and they'll
none.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I was talking to wise guys. Well, I tried to negotiate, and there was no negotiation to do. That's what they paid. They'd take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm. So we left.
And then, but by that time, I had already laughed in the guy's face, so it was done. And I was also going through a very rough divorce at the time too. So anybody who's gone through a divorce has an idea of what that does to you emotionally. But it was, if I had had that offer and it had been, they were paying me 3 times as much, I'd have probably, or offered 3 times as much, I'd have probably gone in a heartbeat. And it's a big company. They can afford to pay even interns a lot better. That was below slave wages, in my opinion.
Can you please highlight?
From what I understand, it never got any better because the some of the posts and texts that I was reading during this broke era hashtag whatever mess, I'm laughing because I'm here now doing stuff locally in advertising and I'm making 10 times as much money.
Can you please highlight Tree Goblin's comment? Because that's very important.
Tree Goblin, where are you at?
Tree Goblin.
I'm pretty far behind.
You are? Dude, he says,
but thanks for asking.
$25 won't keep you in weed and hose. And that's the thing.
No, it won't.
When you are hiring an artist, think about his well-being, because his well-being will determine whether your art is good or not. You already know his portfolio, so you want it to be calm and have enough Cheerios and money for hookers. So he can make you a proper...
Yes. Keep him docile. Keep your artist docile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
We have a tendency to fly off the handle.
Have water in the reservoir, fill the feed, change the newspapers.
So one of the books I'm working on now, I had a guy give me a page rate that I thought was really reasonable. And then I saw his work come in and I'm like, holy crap, dude, I'm going to give you your page rate, but I'm also going to give you 25% of anything that's generated. And I don't know when or where that'll be generated, but if I ever get profit off of that title, you will definitely get 25% of it.
Yeah,
because the artwork was that good.
I do the same thing. What's that, Whiskey?
I was saying it reminds me of a similar story about a page rate with the book I'm working on. The artist I actually found in the end is phenomenal, right?
Yes, he is.
But I had to negotiate down his page rate because I couldn't afford a higher rate.
It's so good. I told you to be careful.
Yeah, exactly. And I offered him a deal on the end. If I make a profit off the book after a certain amount, then we'll up the page rate to, because the art's that good. Like Randy said, to be careful. But yeah, like it's just like sometimes you got to do what you can afford.
Is it that dude with those samples that you showed me? Those pencils?
Yeah.
Oh God, man, he's good.
Yeah.
I wish I could draw like that. Holy cow.
If I had better eyes, I'd beg to ink it.
God, he's amazing.
But it'd be a day a page minimum.
So
because that's so pretty and so detailed.
I got it for cheap, but I feel guilty, but I honestly can't afford more. The book's not getting made. However, if it does really, really well, then, I'm going to give him a bonus.
That's good of you. See, that's good. So, 24 Eyes makes a great point here. 24 Eyes makes a lot of good points when he comes in. So certain creators had an extra boost or got a book funded that would not today. Mm-hmm. And now they're upset that books aren't flying off the shelves instead of elevating their products. That's it. They try to blame it on a boogeyman or on somebody else. And that's when we start getting all these really weird conspiracy theories that there's these backroom conversations and whisper networks.
Excuse. Well, there are whisper networks.
There are.
That's a whole other.
There are whisper networks and stuff.
Part of a hate group,
But they're not everywhere the way people think they are. A lot of these people are just very. So, I was accused the other day of having a sock account or whatever that was going after someone, and I think the sock account got taken down or something because that account has attacked me before. And when I saw what they were doing, I did report that because they had no followers, so they're fake. Like I know they're fake, right? So whoever it is saying stuff, but somebody made the point that no, Luke will just tell you how he feels. Luke doesn't need a whisper network. Like I don't do that. I tell the truth, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people in comics that are that way. They just say what they think, and so whatever the fallout is from that, they take it, I guess, I think that's one thing that I do like about EVS is people think that he does all these underhanded back end stuff, but I'm friends with some of the other higher, like more higher profile creators, that they're like, no, everything he says in public, he says, like, there's no
private.
whisper
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Like,
If you have time for a
Yeah.
sock account, if you have time for a Whisper network, you're not working industry.
no, you're not.
You're not.
I'm too busy. I'm too busy for internet drama personally.
Yeah.
Even without charging 25 a page.
Yeah.
Pardon my voice, man. So, but yeah, you get these people, they start to create these scenarios where it's somebody else's fault. It's a boogeyman.
Yep.
You know, they're the reason why I'm not doing well.
Crabs.
Not the fact that you just don't, like, just do better. Work
Crabs
harder.
Crabs are always going to find an excuse, and it's not them.
Yeah.
It's never them. It's always
This,
somebody
this
else.
is an actual good idea, is buying
You know, I
ad
really
space
like
on-
Ethan as far as, like, you know, I just learned about him not too long. I mean, I'm new to comics, if anybody hasn't figured that out yet, but like, I just learned about him not too long ago, and he seems like a really decent dude. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are after him after his politics, but you know, from my experiences, just his posts and whatever, just, you know, he seems like a really
He's got his politics and his opinion, but that's not what you should be looking at him for.
exactly.
Should be looking at him for his business acumen and his ability to put people in seats. He's an entertaining broadcaster. He's like the old shock jocks, your Howard Sterns or your Tom Leikuses. That's what he is. That's how he builds up. July is the same way. He's got his own conservative opinion. You might not agree with it, but he puts people in seats. He makes money. There's a reason for that.
Look,
you
I
need
was
to
a
figure
fan
that
of
out
July for
and
a
how you
long
can
time.
apply it to yourself.
Yeah, I was a fan of July for a long time, and I got to be honest, as a fan, some of his viewpoints started to skew a little bit away from where I'm at, which is fine. That's fine. But I just, you know, there came a point where I had to kind of depart from a lot of the negativity that's out there, all the outrage over Disney and Marvel. I can't be mad about it, because it's not doing me any good. But what I can do is focus on building alternate economies alongside of that, you know, to get books out there and to find new readers. Somebody said earlier in the chat that there are fans out there that have left comics because of all the tomfoolery.
Oh, absolutely.
We just have to find a way to get back to them.
They just want to be entertained. That's why they come back to comics in the first place.
Yeah. I had one of my favorite things is when people will come to my series hybrids, say I haven't bought a comic in 20 years, and then they're regular buyers. I've got a guy who buys every book that I do.
Yeah.
He doesn't buy the high tiers. He buys the real cheap one. He just gets the book because he's waiting for the next story.
Right.
He's not a collector. He's a reader. And I love that. Heck,
Yeah.
I sold digital. I sold digital books last night on the Arrow store.
Arrowcomics.store.
Yeah, they went in the arrowcomics.store. They bought some digital books over there. So yay, way to go. You know, I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to do. It's like, how can we get into, and you have to make moves. You have to make choices. And sometimes those choices, you know, are, you know, to align more with a particular group or another, or to not align with them. But it really comes down to contracts. So I got so sick this last week of listening to people use the word community. It was,
I got tired of that a couple of years ago.
It was pissing me off this week.
Yeah.
It was pissing me off.
Well, the thing that really upset me was the hashtag BS about comics broke me stuff. Dojo Coon's in the house, by the way.
Oh,
Dojo.
welcome, Dojo. Yeah, I mean, for the last couple of weeks, it's just been kind of bubbling up with me, right?
Yeah,
And I'm like, stop.
I made a post on Facebook, and then I'm like, I read too much Twitter before I posted it, and I try to stay off Twitter because it's a cesspool of hate. So,
well, you know, most of my marketing takes place on Twitter. That's where my, you know,
I don't
connection
market
with
over there enough.
fans are.
That's my, but I don't go over there. I try not to go over there.
I mean, there's a great resource
All us
of
old
fans
fogies
there.
are Facebookers, I think.
Yeah, there's a great resource of fans there, but yeah, but so there was a deal in it. I mean, I can mention names because it's so public now. So Patrick Thomas Parnell, goes by PTP, was managing Dale Keown's omnibus for Pitt.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We're very excited about that. I mean, fans are chomping at the bit to get this kind of content, right?
Proven entity that everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I
it's gonna
wanted
make
it.
money.
I was ready to back it.
Everybody
day one.
wants it. Yeah.
Everybody
And
was ready for this thing.
Everybody that read that book in the past will probably want that book.
Yeah. Well, Dale is easily, he's a better artist than most of the artists that are out there. He's so good. But he's not super business savvy, right? He's an artist. He has a artist brain, right? He's in that kind of that mindset, and he got a little scared off the night before, and kind of said some things that derailed that business arrangement. And then Patrick made a statement the next day that went beyond where it should have. It should have stopped at the business statement, and then he just kind of started musing a little bit, which we tend to do that here. That's what we do, but we're also pretty versed in public speaking and our ability to still stay within realms of where we want to say things, as being, like, I mean, I was a pastor. I public spoke for literally a living. That's a big part of my job when I was doing that. And it kind of went off the rails. And people blamed Patrick, people blamed Dale, people blamed, and then Patrick started blaming people getting in Dale's ear. Look, it all comes down to this. There was no contract. I was like, if there's anything to be learned from this, is that you got to have a contract in place. If before they even started the discussion to do this, if they said, look, let's discuss the terms of the contract and let's get it and let's sign it. That way we can be about the fun business of doing comic books and not be worried about where the money is going, when someone's getting money, how much this is going to cost. None of that, all of that is going to be in contract. It's going to be in writing. You have to have that. It is vital. It is vital that you have that stuff there. And so I was like, look, all this could have been avoided. All this drama and this infighting and this talking of community, all of that could have been avoided if you just shut up and don't say community and say business and say they made a business decision without a contract that was going to be in the six figures. They would have been at $100,000 by that afternoon, quite honestly. Yeah. You do not make deals that are potentially multi-million-dollar deals. If he does the numbers that he could do, he could rival ISOM. You don't go and make a deal with Eric July with a handshake. That's a multi-million-dollar deal. $4 million, that first book, you do not do a handshake agreement. There's a contract that's got to go in place. Always, you got to have the contracts, man. And when we think of it as a fandom, that we have friends in there and we connect with people, there's readers we like, there's creators we like. When we stop thinking of that and we start thinking about business, you've got to take some chances. And I'm telling you, that would have been a great deal for Riot Press. It would have put them in a new tax bracket. But quite honestly, when you start thinking about new tax brackets, you got to have a contract. Todd and I, we have a contract. Phil Avelli, like we were talking about distribution yesterday. We're making some big plans, some finding some new ways to try to reach old readers. And honestly, there's a contract in place. This is what it is. We're doing this new game called FMC Heroes, and it's going to be a cross-promotional effort. And there is going to be money involved, right? So there will be money involved for us on our side. He's going to get paid for his time. William, the guy that's doing all the design and manufacturing, getting everything going, he's going to get paid for his time. I'm going to get compensated, but my compensation is going back in to fund my comic. So I'm actually using it as an opportunity to bolster up and pay for some of the upgrades that we need over there. So that's what I'm using my funds for. So there is money involved, right? And so we're upfront and we're transparent because there was a contract. When we talked and he said, "Yeah, I want to do this with you," the first thing I said, like, let's hash out the contract. Let's get that signed before we start working on anything. Because there's money involved in this thing, you know? People's livelihoods are involved in this thing. You got to be careful. Mm-hmm. Jason says we can say all the same semantic points about what is CG. It's a made-up word. We're people. The question is really, are you here into this with us? I think that's a good point. Atrocity Press says, first, how can you vet your customers? I don't think you can.
No.
Second, who cares when the money spends?
That's the whole point.
Who cares when the money spends?
Yep.
So, Whiskey woke up to a real peach of a thing today. We're not going to name any names.
Oh yeah, it was. You want me to talk about? I don't particularly want to talk about it, but it's slightly negative. But needless to say, is that don't or pay your artists, pay them a fair wage. I guess that's all I really got to say on the subject.
Okay.
Don't.
For a minute there, I wasn't sure what you were talking about, but now I know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pay your
that's
artists.
all I got to say.
Yeah. So, we were talking about page rate. Digital artists spend a lot of time at the computer working on 3D models.
This is an industry, and money is a way that you show respect.
It is. Dang, Randy, I wish I had a bell to ring.
Oh, I got a bell.
That money really is the way to show respect. It really is.
I got some. I had somebody color a piece a while back that I hadn't paid for, and I called him. I got a hold of him and said, "Hey, I'm going to use this. You colored it. What do you want for the colors?" And I thought we had already agreed on an amount, but he gave me an amount that was 4 times higher.
Yeah, dude.
I paid it.
Randy just
Without saying
reminded me-
anything or going, "Hey, we had already agreed on such and such." No, money is a way you show respect.
Yeah, but Randy just reminded me of what they say down here in Panama at weddings. And the translation is going to sound very rude, so it sounds better in Spanish, but they basically say, "We like your expressions of affections in cash."
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, Chloe got a haircut yesterday, and she doesn't look herself. It's a very bad haircut.
Yeah.
It was an expensive haircut, but a bad one, and so the other dog's making fun of her because of her stupid
getting
haircut.
bullied.
Are they? They're picking on her now?
Yeah, she's getting picked on.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So she's trying to look. They got rid of the pom tail. Like she's a
Oh.
Pomeranian. They trimmed off the tail. They trimmed her mane. She looks just like a little. She looks like a dunce.
Like a
Poor
chihuahua.
thing.
Like a little
She's a
dog.
poor
yeah.
little thing. Poor thing.
It'll
Yeah.
all grow back, thank goodness.
Yeah, we still love her though. She's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart dog. But so we're my daughter still looking for a good groomer. She's so upset. She goes, "That was
Oh,
expensive.
now
I
that
paid
word is
$75."
ruined.
Always those little things, those little. I'm still. My mechanic decided to retire,
Yeah.
so I'm
Ouch.
back trying to take the car to the service, to the dealership again, which is, yeah.
Good books can change how people perceive certain ideology.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. People try to put ideology in books and they make them bad. What they should do is, if your ideology is any good, focus on the story and let it come out naturally. You're going to see a good, but there you go.
So
The only
boxing is
thing-
never entertaining.
Yeah. The only thing that matters is if the money clears or not. Amen.
Yes.
I'm
In
such a
the end,
capitalist.
absolutely.
So,
That's how
Todd's,
you pay your bills.
yeah. So Todd's somebody that he is associated with is very liberal, and they go to the website and they said, "Well, this is just a bunch of conservative dribble." And he said, "Yes, so what?"
What's your point?
He goes, "And so what?" He goes, "Their money spends just like anybody else's. If that's what they want to, if that's what they want to make, they should have the right to be able to fund it here. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it." He goes, "You know what? I'll tell you what. Tell some of your people with their liberal dribble to come make a comic book. and they can fund it here too.
And it's obvious what they consider conservative dribble or even liberal dribble sells, because there's people out there listening to this stuff. You got YouTube channels in both directions. So
That guy was terrible, man. He was awful. Student of God, how about give all campaign an option to donate an extra 1% of campaign money to go to marketing and promotion? We could do that. But
that's why you sell hats. Buy a
that's why I
hat.
sell hats. Yeah,
Or I had, yeah.
you can buy a hat. Look at that.
FNC
Look
hat.
how nice that looks.
Yeah, dude.
It's a nice looking hat.
You gotta go the Spaceballs road, man. Yogurt.
Merchandising.
Yeah,
Merchandising.
merchandising. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love
Was
it.
this guy and his wife who had a distribution deal that was completely phony, and they just kept a whole bunch of books in their garage, screwing over a bunch of guys? This is a different guy.
Yeah.
But I met that guy through this guy. It's funny how all the screwed up deals I've got, I can find this guy on the periphery of it. It's $26 a page. Inflation, man.
Yeah.
$25 won't keep you in weed. Weed and
Yeah.
hose. We read that one already. Glenn says, we all continue to make mistakes. It's how you deal with it, and that counts. Exactly. And so you really start to move past that. Marvel just uses AI for a movie intro. Yeah. We just
Again,
covered
that
a little
shows
bit.
how they have always treated their talent. Always.
Yep.
But there's still somebody there that got paid for doing the AI. They probably didn't
Yeah.
get paid as much as a legitimate artist.
Yeah, more than likely he got paid in live chicken like they try to do to me in
Yeah.
Latin America.
This
gonna
says a
keep
lot
them
here
in-
too.
In booze and whores. So
Yeah, I laugh every time I see someone offer next to nothing for someone to draw for them. If you won't take me seriously, I won't work for you. It's that
That's
simple.
pretty much it.
If you think that $50 is enough to work for 25 hours on a 3D model, or if you think $25 a page is enough for someone to draw your entire comic book, that's like the buddy rate. That's like, oh well, my friend is pretty good at it and he works nights, as a hobby. That's hobby pay, is what you're talking about. That's hobby
yeah.
pay, or that's third world country pay.
Thank
That's
you.
not-
Yeah,
That's not serious artist pay. Like I
now,
would look at Pedro.
now
and
we
be
know
like,
Pedro's rates. Yes.
yeah,
I'd be
exactly.
like, Pedro, I want you to do me an animation, and I want you to do it for $500.
Ooh, it depends. It's 500
I want it 10
bucks
minutes.
in chicken.
110 minutes.
I want
Yeah.
it. I want it 10. I
Oh,
want a
want
10-minute
10
animation. I want it this week.
Yeah,
I need it
We
by end of
understand-
business day.
We understand in livestock, Luke. So you have to specify like
Livestock.
how many
I'll give you
chicken.
5 chickens.
5 chickens.
You temptress. Oh my god.
Divorce hurts my wallet. Credit
Yeah.
and
There
took
you
all
are.
the investment I made.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Man, that
Needless to
sucks.
say, this morning, this gentleman's offer was, it was insulting. It's like, and it's not just insulting. It was painfully insulting.
You're always
The way
going
they
to find people
insulted
like
you as
that,
well.
though, that don't understand the business or the time.
Yeah.
And like,
So.
they don't understand it. It's gonna happen. You're gonna encounter it. You just wash it off. Like I said, I don't want to talk about anything too negative,
Right.
but like, it's just you just
Yes.
forget about it. You move on.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Russ
I
is
mean,
right.
There's the possibility. I mean, that's, I heard someone say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
But 5 roosters will get you a cartoon.
Exactly. There you go.
5
Right.
chickens.
5 chickens will get you a
Live.
cartoon.
Chicken.
Live chicken.
So we're
5
talking about
chickens.
birds a lot today.
5 live chickens.
But I honestly, I don't think that statement is very good. That a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
No.
Well,
Depends upon the bush.
And I think
It
it's a
depends
metaphor
on the
for
bush.
masturbation. Just too many words. They're talking too much about birds. It just makes me uncomfortable.
it really does.
Yeah.
But really, I think that's what causes a lot of people not to take chances in their business, right? And that's why there's that crab bucket mentality, because they're playing it safe. I was with a publisher briefly that they were afraid to make big moves because of the what ifs. Because whenever you do something, there's a what if. Like, okay, so Randy and I, we invested a lot of money. Randy more than I did. I did wind up selling a couple of kind of heirloom guitars in order to pay for this thing, which I regret to this day. I'd like to shove that guitar up someone's rear at this point.
That would just make him walk funny. Anyway.
He already does.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Funnier than.
Funnier, yeah. So, but it was that question of like, well, what if? So there was the question, well, what if this is just a grift and it falls through? Right? Well, that's a chance you got to take.
Guess what?
But what if it's real? What if this is a real thing and we have the potential of creating for us a livelihood in a business with independent comic books that will take care of our families? What if that is what's there? Now,
I would have had my B&B up on Mackinac Island by now.
Yeah. So it's like,
saying.
There's the big what if. And in order to, you have to take a chance because, I mean, you could have good, you can have bad with these things. When you guys are out there trying to make your decisions, you know, especially you're trying to make your decisions like, you know, some of these artists, like who do I get? Like, well, you know, do I spend extra money on a really good artist or do I save some money and do this other guy who's just okay? You know, what do I do? Like, you know, when it comes to like, do I try to find a publisher? Do I self-publish? And then it's like, oh, well, do I lean in? You know, do I try to go the route of the mainstream or do I just go full on indie? Like, you try to make these choices and you make these moves. And no matter where you are, it does come down to dollars. We had to make a choice because honestly, I feel okay. I'm happy, even though we got ripped off. I'm happy even with that negative experience with that writer. Because with him, I learned some things. It was a crash course in understanding the industry. And so I learned some things and I liked that. That education was worth it. But honestly, had I said no to the Liberty deal and it worked out, I would have had far more regret than the regret that I have that it wasn't real, that I was lied to by a friend. And it taught me a valuable lesson. Never spend money until you've signed a contract.
Yep.
It's that simple. Never spend money until you have signed a contract. And if you do pay for money, don't ever expect to get it back. Like, just expect that to be out and gone forever. Only 6'4" is with us. Red Dress Press. Chris Evans is in the house.
Chris in the house. It's probably time to think about pulling up them tent stakes and packing up.
Yeah, it is. I like to whisper succotash in back rooms. I really do too. Trying to go through any comments, see if there's anything. Every DM group becomes a whisper network. It really does. Someone thinks EVS is the best. I think I am the best, and I think EVS is pretty good too.
It's all right.
Yeah. Since he's like, yeah, he's all right.
Okay.
Hojo, pretty well.
Hojo, for the record, I'm trading in goats now. Because I'm just upping my game.
So it's one goat then.
We are working on FMC street teams.
It would be like one healthy.
One goat to 5 live chickens?
Yeah, one healthy goat.
I was just saying all this to my Whisper Network the other day about it being an excuse if EVS was against you. It still has nothing to do with you reaching those 8 billion people. It really doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what someone said. It's like, oh, well, what if the Kings, what if these CG guys, what if they don't endorse Fund My Comic? And I said, that's fine. I said, we're still doing it. We're still going to find users and an audience. I said, I hope they do. I hope they see the value.
Look at all those campaigns over 10 grand sitting there already in the short period of time that you've been out. There's no question that you're going to make it.
It's nice. We're thankful about it, but it's not required. Like we don't. we made fun like, I mean, like, you guys must back this. No, it's like, dude, everybody's welcome to come and do their own thing.
The
That's what I like
option,
at the thing. Yeah.
And lots
the
of people
option
are
is
waiting
there
too.
now. That's the whole idea. The option is there, and it's
Mhm.
turning out to be viable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they endorse it or not.
And there's a lot of people in the woodwork that are just waiting just to see if it works out, because they don't want to be the first one in the pool, right? But they're willing to jump in if their buddy does. So
Yeah, many that are creative aren't really that business savvy. That's where people like I've stayed quiet for a very long time because I like to mind my own business and fly under the radar.
Yeah, but that's something that we have to snap out of it, like with that excuse. Because in the end, like, yeah, please come abuse me. I'm an artist. Like, dude, stop it.
The two most horrible things that this industry has always lacked was a publishing company with great morals
Mm-hmm.
and a good set of agents
Mm-hmm.
for the creatives. That's they're few and far between. And I'm not saying that there aren't any out there. I'm just saying they're few and far between. All of my experiences with agents have never gone well. Never. And I've gotten close to that big Hollywood deal a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And it fell apart. And the reason it fell apart was bad agenting. Because I kept saying, get me in that room and let me pitch it because it's my property. I can do it. Just tell me where to be. No.
I like this one.
They had to do it themselves, and the deal falls through.
Complaining about the mainstream might actually be punching down now.
Yes. Ouch. Well, that's mainstream also in parentheses, because it's also a term that means a lot of different definitions to a lot of different people. To me, Scholastic is mainstream. Shonen Jump is mainstream. Viz might actually be pretty close to mainstream. Marvel and DC, they stopped being mainstream back in the 80s when they stopped dealing to the direct market. The only thing that they have that's mainstream are their movies and their outside merchandising. But other than that, those comics haven't been main. They're all niche market. They've made themselves a niche market, especially in the last 10 years. They've become their own little private niche market. You got people out there that still swear by them, and you have retailers stuck in a 30-year-old mindset where they can't get away from them. But that system's gone and it's eroded. They're literally just like Kirkman. They're the Walking Dead. Is what it is, and they just don't realize they're gone yet.
I like Dojo just say, but you need to have a cautious professional skepticism, though. You really do.
More skeptical now than I was. I'll tell you that.
We were a little skeptical with that. But every deal since has been there's been professional skepticism, and that's why it's in a contract, and that's why potential of success is also worked into the contracts.
Russ at there at the bottom is right. Mainstream, shame stream.
Yeah, shame.
Dude, I think I just opened the floodgates of hell. Because now I've been the chat is just offering livestock to me.
Livestock like crazy.
Yeah. Everybody
4
wants
chickens
everybody
for
wants to give you their goat.
Yeah.
Is that sounds like a euphemism?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to give Pedro my goat.
Nice.
You get your goat.
Get your goat down to Pedro.
That's what she said.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to be wrapping this thing up, guys.
Let's do it.
Have a lot of work. I have a meeting at 2 and then 2 more live streams this afternoon, and I have a lot of art to get done.
Wow. It's
been a crazy busy day. Crazy busy week. So a lot of great things going on right now. We're working on a new project called FMC Heroes Battle Card Game.
Hell yeah.
We are reaching out to individuals to start putting that together. We do have a contract in place that we will send out. And so, again, everything we do is done under contracts so that we all know what's going on. But this is going to be a great set, Randy. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to have a laminated steel box, collector's box. It's going to have 4 playable decks. So a deck is going to be 60 cards each. So each deck is going to have 20 character cards, 15 action cards. 20 action cards, 15 power cards, and 5 chaos cards. which will throw the game into chaos, basically. And so each deck has those, and
I've got
Yeah.
some of those. Yeah.
so it's going to be very exciting. But there are going to be 80 unique characters in the game. So each hand will have 80 unique characters. There's going to be 40 unique actions and 40 unique powers. I'm sorry. Yeah, around that.
Around that.
Yeah, around that. 40 unique powers. Probably 30 unique powers and 20 unique chaos cards. And so we're working on that. It's really cool. Very exciting. It's going to be a fun game. It's very reminiscent of Pokemon or Magic the Gathering. And so we're doing that. This is going to be a limited time set. We're only making 999 of them. And part of the compensation for putting your character into battle, besides the massive cross promotion that's going on, is you're going to get 2 sets for yourself. So you're going to get 2, and each set is going to be certificated and numbered. So we're pretty excited about that.
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's so neat, and the game mechanics are fun. This new brain med that I'm on, it's like a superpower. I was able to write the game mechanics.
Hey, Student of
overnight.
God has a question for you.
Sure.
In the chat.
You go.
All right. Okay, Luke, you go 20 seconds. Give me your sales pitch on Fun My Comic. As of a normie on the street, this is actually important. It is important. And I'll tell you this, look, comic books should be about freedom of expression and good stories. Fun My Comic is a place where you can have a virtual storefront or kind of a digital comic book store where you can go in and find great comics and games and all other things of the like that are free of any kind of censorship or any kind of wokeness, I guess. I mean, this stuff is really it's for fans.
You'd carry woke books anyway.
We would. I would carry it,
You'd
but
run campaigns for those.
yeah, but this is for classic
As
for
long as
classic
they're
comic book
within
fans.
public decency, you're just
Right.
looking to help promote good, entertaining comics
Yeah. And
any
this
way
is
that you can, and open up the marketplace for folks, because we've seen too many of these places suddenly start gatekeeping for no reason, or shadow banning, or whatever stupid word you want to use. There's people up there that are keeping this stuff from being seen by as many eyes as possible. And
It was
that's what
20
Fun My-
seconds, guys.
That's what
It was
Fun My
20
Comics is
seconds.
all about. Sorry.
Well, yeah,
It was 20
it's
seconds.
crowdfunding with capitalism at the core.
Yeah.
Is what it is. If it's on the featured page, it's because fans put it there.
Capitalist comics. I love that.
There is censorship of what goes on the front page of what you present.
Yeah.
There's not censorship of what goes on in the comic book.
And that's basic standards of public decency.
Yeah, just yeah. You can sell it in a public forum without being obscene. We just don't people to be
That's the
obscene.
idea.
So, I've been playing Magic the Gathering for over 30 years. A lot of people have.
Sooner
We're
or
actually
later,
looking
you'll
at-
get to the end of that game.
Yeah, we were looking at font size, and William asked,
Must
"What
be a
do you think
huge
about this
deck,
font
too."
size?" And he goes, "Well, that's what Pokemon uses." And I'm like, "Well, let's use the same one." Like, who are we to question? I mean, people have been that and Magic the Gathering are the 2 top selling card games. Like, don't question it. If it works,
do it. Yep.
do it, right?
Yep.
So we're pretty excited about that project. We are going to start taking submissions very soon for Iron Age distribution. So we'll be putting books up on that website, and we're working on our pitch pack to retailers. And so that hopefully in the next couple months, we hope to be sending out orders to retailers by Christmas. That's our goal. So that's working out great. Man, so we're going to be seeing something from Kelsey Shannon on Fun My Comic very soon. So he's doing an art book, and there is rumors of when he might be launching that. There is going to be a Dale Keown poster campaign that's going out, and we may see some of that on Fund My Comic. No commitments yet, but maybe you can get some posters on Fund My Comic soon for Dale Keown. That would be nice.
Dude.
That would be nice. So we're very excited about that. We are several weeks ahead on an upgrade. So we're going to be adding the ability to Student of God to try again. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. My pitch for Fund My Comic is fundmycomic.com. It's your crowdfunding home for comics and games. There you go. That's it. Some people say things sell themselves. Fund My Comic really does. It's a 3% platform fee.
It sure has snowballed.
Yeah, 3% platform fee on that one.
The things like Fund My Comic was sorely needed. Like people would say like, oh, like who's Luke Stone or whatever. Like the questions you see out there, but the need for a place of a platform where you know who owns it. If you have a question, you will have like a human answer from, and without all those like shady shifting
top-notch customer
politics.
Service. Yeah.
It's just like, dude, like
freedom of expression, fierce independence.
Yeah.
Same payment processor that all the other ones use.
Exactly.
Only we give more freedom to the creator.
And
for their
green and
dollars.
pink are to blame for this.
They are. See, that's the other thing. We're talking about the mainstream and bringing the same infestation of business practices mainstream. But people want us to do the same thing with the crowdfunding. They're always wanting to compare to green and pink. And I'm like, we're trying to break free from those. They're very restrictive. I think 30 and 60-day crowdfunding campaigns are very restrictive. I think the way the payments are dispersed is very restrictive for how you can use it. I mean, that's the appeal of using your own website, because you can mobilize the funds right away for your project. And so that's what we allow for people to do that are running a Keep It All. They can mobilize those funds right away. So the site really, once you kind of get on there, it kind of sells itself. And I don't have to pitch it so much. I do appreciate that. We work on but we've got like written pitches and stuff like that. But quite honestly, it's the fans that pitch it. I pitched it to some creators, and now the fans and the creators are pitching it like no one's business. And that's the growth that we've seen is because of them.
And that's the best. When somebody says like, hey, put it on Fund My Comic, I'll back you there. Not coming from Luke or any from the organization. It speaks volumes about what you will ever say. You know what I mean? Because it's like, these are people who have money in hand, ready to back books, telling other people go there.
Yep.
That's very valuable.
Yep. Aerocomics.store was getting some action last night. Continue to go to aerocomics.store. We're going to be working out agreement for Aerocomics to be distributed through Iron Age distribution. So we're going to be making sure that is a thing that happens. Pedro, your animation school, how's it going?
Oh, dude, I had a client from hell this whole weekend, and I'm talking like going to sleep for 5 days in a row at 4 a.m.
Wow.
I was sleep deprived. My humor changed. I haven't been able to advance at all. It was for an event that was yesterday. Yesterday morning, I was still working on that project. So that's why you haven't seen anything from me. It was a good 5K, I have to say. Oh, dude, I did my paper. It was a good 5K, but dude, it's a nightmare. That's why I don't want to work advertising in Latin America anymore. It's just like the clients don't respect the artist. It's like, I need a change and I need it now, and it's just non-stop changes. It was stupid.
Yes, mission statements up there, terms of service, all this stuff. We got it all up there.
Yeah,
we worked on that for ages.
So yeah, the classes are ready. So
the Shadow Kingdom coming to Iron Age, Randy?
Probably, yeah.
To answer your question, the classes
going to
are
be
ready.
A great graphic novel once it's done.
Yeah. The classes are ready. I just need to refine the videos for it to upload them. That's all that's happening, and I think next week, now that the schedule is clear, I might get on that.
Fund My Comic is home for true artistic freedom for both creator and consumer alike. A lower platform fee that allows creators to invest in their property.
Corson, What's
Coursing.
coursing?
What is that word?
I don't know. I speak coconut English. That's why I asked. Is that a word?
I don't know. I'm
My comic home for the artistic freedom of both. Where are you seeing
Coursing?
Horsem?
What's coursing?
Oh,
Coursing.
Corson.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Is that a word?
What if it's like really a word and there's someone out there that's watching? It's like these guys are idiots.
Yeah,
I might be.
I live in the jungle, guy. I don't know. Guys that live in the jungle. What's coursing?
I blame Google Voice.
Yeah.
I do too. But yeah, so no, yeah, we're
They're worth the blame.
yeah, everything that you can find on the website, just a quick scroll. There's a page called YFMC. We're still working on the aesthetics of that page.
Yeah.
It's the only page. It was one of the first pages that we made, and it's been the last one to get any major edits. But yeah, so you can check that out. It's YFMC. Kind of goes through our mission statement, our mission and vision.
And while you're over at FMC, take a look at the Fool, because that
Take a look at the Fool.
Campaign is probably going to disappear here within the next couple of days. I'm almost done with the print file on that. We'll be sending it to press here pretty soon.
Yep.
And while you're at it, find out what coursing is and send it my way.
Yeah.
Please.
Student of God, I'm just going to take your pitch. That's a good one.
Yeah.
There we go. That is I always joke that there's these monkeys out in the jungle that's how they claim ownership. They put their butt on it.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they do that.
Put
That's
your butt
mine
on
now.
that, are you? Okay.
Just
They
put
do
my
that.
butt right on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. It's been a great day. Thanks for the conversation. Remember, stop using the word community.
Yeah. Let's use coursing from now on.
Corson.
This is our course.
Yeah. That's our coursing.
Stop using the word community.
your
This is our
coursing.
fandom. This is your fandom. Don't
Our
use the word
industry.
community.
Yeah.
When you use that word, you create a visual that doesn't exist in what this is. This is a business and it's a fandom. Let's use the right word. Let's understand where we're at. Find people in your fandom that are good people, that work hard, tell good stories, and that like to just have fun. You know what? Enough of the infighting if we can hand it. If you're
Yeah.
out there working and you're wanting to start making a comic book, step one, contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts.
Hating ain't creating.
Hating ain't creating. I like that. Everybody, remember, it has been a great day. It's so easy to tear things down. Let's build up more than we tear down. Let's leave the wood pile higher than we found it. And you know what's coming, guys.
Coursing.
Corson. Let's be careful out there.
Yes.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. Two Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 218 W's a GTA, and several miscellaneous crimes.